A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. For Jerry of the Circus.
Hello there, Rags, old boy. Where's your master? Glad to see me, huh? Oh, you're pretty cute.
Hi, Patsy.
Oh, I knew you must be around someplace, Jerry. You know, it's a wonder Rags doesn't lose that tail of his.
Don't worry, it's on good and tight. I used to wonder about it when he was a pup. Then I'd pick him right up by the tail.
And the tail stayed on?
Yep. So I know it's on for good. What was you doing with your costume?
I'm taking it to Clara and then the wardrobe.
Oh, gee, it's pretty. What's all this stuff? Looks like diamonds.
The rhinestones. They're made of glass.
Oh, those are the things that sparkle so when you're working under the light.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, they're pretty. You sure look swell in that costume.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. That's a nice compliment. Want to come along and meet Clara?
Sure. We haven't anything to do right now. Besides, I wanted to meet her anyhow. When Mr. Randall and I came back from the police station, he asked me
The police station? What were you doing there?
They got Lorenz.
No.
Yep, money and all.
Oh, Jerry.
I'm sure glad they caught him, because otherwise I might never have found out about Uncle Dan.
It was lucky, wasn't it? Oh, here we are. I almost walked by the wardrobe top.
Seems funny calling it 10 a top.
Oh, you'll get used to it. Clara? Oh, hello there. Are you busy?
Of course I'm busy, but goodness knows I'm never too busy to see you.
Clara, this is Jerry.
I'm glad to meet you, Jerry. I've been hearing about you ever since we left Midvale.
I'm glad to meet you, too.
Now, Patsy, don't tell me you've torn that costume again.
I'm losing some of the rhinestones. See, here, around the neck.
Let's see. Gracious me. I'll say you are, and all around the arms, too.
I guess that's where most of the strain is.
Well, this is too much to fix for tonight's show. I'll tell you, if you leave this here after the performance tonight, I'll get it to you first thing in the morning.
You're a dear, Clara. I'm sorry I'm such a nuisance.
You're never a nuisance. And my goodness, I wish I could say as much for lots of other people in this circus.
Clara, Mr. Randall asked me to see you.
Mr. Randall? What for?
Well, you see, he says you've been having some trouble around here.
Well, I'll say I have. Don't tell me you know anything about it.
Well, no, but I'm going to try and find out.
A regular boy detective now, aren't you?
Well, Jerry certainly helped a lot to catch Lorenz. You know, he found the missing piece of the gun.
Rags really found it, but I helped.
You don't say.
Now, if you just tell me, Clara, exactly what happened around here.
Of course I will. The thing that burns me up the most is that they've taken my gold thimble, the one Grandma...
Oh, no, Clara. Not the one your mother got from her mother.
That's the one.
Oh.
And I care more for that thimble than anything else in the world, seems like.
What a shame. Well, maybe you just dropped it someplace.
No, sirree. You know how careful I am with that. I always leave it right in my work basket.
Have you got a pencil?
Sure thing, right over there on the table. Why?
Thank you. I think I'll write everything down. There. A gold thimble belonged to your grandmother. What else?
My, you are businesslike.
Half of the gold braid that was left over from the uniforms for the band.
What happened to the other half?
It was all over the floor, and my goodness was I mad when I saw that mess.
All over the floor? That's funny. Anything else that's valuable?
The most valuable things in the whole wardrobe were those jewels. And when I come in and saw them...
Oh, Clara, don't tell me all that jewelry is gone. Oh, it'll take forever to find such lovely things again.
I'll say it will. But the worst is having to clear up the mess every morning. I'd like to give those thieves a piece of my mind.
Every morning?
Yes, sir, since we got to this town.
Let's see. We move tomorrow night. Why don't you stay and watch tonight?
And get hit on the head? No, thanks, not me. I'm not that curious.
Gee, I'd love to stick around and find out what's going on.
Oh, Jerry, Mr. Randall never let you do that.
I've got it. What? Why don't you clear away all the sawdust on the floor?
Land sakes, our feet'd get damp. Can't stand on bare ground all day.
Oh, I mean before you leave tonight. Then at least you'd have a chance to get some footprints. As it is, you haven't any idea who's hanging around. You can't get footprints in sawdust, you know.
That's right. Policemen always get footprints if they can't get fingerprints. That's a good idea, Jerry.
I don't mind trying it once.
Sure. Just before you leave tonight, you sweep all the sawdust away from the door here and away from in front of those tables and trunks and things.
Sure I will. I'd just like to get my hands on the thieves that stole my thimble.
I'll be in first thing in the morning, so don't you step on the ground till we find out if there are prints or anything around there.
I won't, don't you worry.
Are you the watchman?
I sure am.
The one who stays on the lot all night?
Yeah, that's me, all right.
Well, I'm Jerry.
Oh, howdy.
And this is my partner, Rags. Put out your paw, Rags.
Well. So you're the little critter that's being talked about so much, huh?
Is Rags being talked about?
Oh, I'll say he is. He's getting to be about as important to this circus as anyone else in it.
You hear that, Rags? I guess you got something to live up to now. He just finished his last walk around his bumps.
Oh?
Gee, they were swell tonight. But I had something special I want to ask you about.
Well, fire away, sonny.
Well, you see, it's like this. Claire's been having some trouble over in the wardrobe.
Yes, I hear tell some pranksters been bothering her.
Oh, it's much more serious than that. Mr. Randall asked me to help sleuth around.
You mean like a detective?
Uh-huh. So I thought I'd ask you if you'd kind of help. Keep your eyes open. I'm going to come back later tonight. Maybe Rags and me can detect something.
Well, maybe so, but be careful about pussyfooting around where I might catch you instead of the real culprits.
That would be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So you better not prowl around without giving me the high sign so I won't make any mistakes.
I sure won't. Oh, there goes Patsy. I've got to see her. I'll be back later. Come on, Rags.
Yes, and I'll keep me eye out for you and watch the wardrobe top, too.
Patsy! Patsy!
Oh, hello there, Jerry. I'm just taking my costume over to Clara's.
I was waiting for you. I've been talking to the night watchman. We're going to find out something about what's going on. Tonight, I hope.
I hope so, too, Jerry. But you'd better be careful. After all, you don't want to get mixed up with any desperate characters.
Don't you worry about me or Rags. We can take care of ourselves, can't we? Say, Patsy, Bumps and I are going over to the restaurant to have something to eat. Won't you come along? Bumps said I could ask you.
Well, thanks, Jerry. I'd love to. Here, I'll just leave this inside. Wait just a minute.
Hey, wait a minute, Patsy. Don't go in there.
Why not?
We don't want your footprints all over the ground.
Oh, of course. I forgot.
Here, let me do it. There, you hold that open so I can see.
Clara must have left early tonight.
There, see? I climb up on this box and leave it right there, safe on the table, without getting my feet on the ground at all.
Oh, thanks, Jerry.
Lucky I was here. He'd have forgotten all about Clara getting rid of the sawdust. Come on, let's get going. Bumps has already started. We'll meet him there.
I'll race you.
Aw, gee, it's no fair beating a girl.
What do you mean, beating a girl? Listen here, I'm a pretty good runner.
Yeah? You're on. Come on, Rags. We're going to race Patsy and beat her so bad.
All right, you ready?
Sure.
On your mark. Get set. Ready? Go.
I'll say you can run.
You're just a girl, huh? You can't do anything.
I didn't say so.
No? Well, just as bad as you said no fair beating a girl.
Gee, you're ahead of me already.
Yes, but Rags is ahead of me. Oh, I'm out of breath. Had enough?
No, of course not, unless you're tired.
Not me. Oh, there's Bumps. Right ahead of us.
Hi, Bumps.
Hello there. What on earth you two in such a hurry for?
Oh, I'm out of breath. Well, I guess I beat you after all, Jerry.
You sure did, but not much.
Well, now, what's this all about?
Jerry thought I couldn't run.
Why, you ought to know that Patsy'd be a pretty fast runner. A girl who flies around on trapezes all day, well, she has to have pretty good lung power and pretty strong arms and legs.
I'm finding that out. Say, look, there goes Major Mike. Golly, that package is carrying his most bigger than he is.
Bananas leaking out of the top. What on earth can he want with so many bananas?
Oh, maybe he's going to treat some of his friends in the sideshow.
He's awful cute, isn't he? I like Midget. It always seems like they're grown-up babies, and you ought to treat them careful like.
Well, you don't have to treat the Major so carefully. He knows how to stand up for himself. Well, here we are. Come on in, Patsy.
Let's sit up at the counter.
Well, you're the boss. Come on here, Jerry. What are you looking at?
Oh, I was just watching Major Mike. He's sure in an awful hurry. Come on, Rag. Let's sit down. So you say the Major can take care of himself?
He certainly can. I've traveled with him for years. He's a scrappy little fella. He's always getting into scrapes because he thinks people are likely to take advantage of him because he's so small.
He always does have a chip on his shoulder, doesn't he?
Gee, that's too bad. Imagine going through life thinking everyone's going to be mean to you.
Evening. Can I take your order?
Yes. What do you want, Patsy?
I'm going to have a nice big piece of...
Look at that dog go.
Rags, come back here.
He sure went after that cat.
Oh, wait for me, Bumps. I got to get Rags. Goodbye. Rags, come back here. Aw, Jen, I was hungry, too. Rags. Golly, he's gone back on the lot. I'm certainly getting my share of running tonight. Rags, you bad dog, come here. Rags, get away from there. Let that poor cat off the tent. Come here, you. Come here, I say. Now, aren't you ashamed of yourself, chasing a poor little cat? Well, I should think you would be. Look at that poor kitten. Now what's wrong, huh? Where? Gee, it does look as if something's moving over there. Golly, in front of Clara's tent. Rags. Shh. Look. Can you see Clara's tent? Yeah, way at the other end of the lot. Something big just went in there. Golly, we'd better find that watchman. I couldn't make out what it was. He got in there so fast, but I certainly saw something go in that wardrobe just as plain. Come on, Rags. Looks like we've happened on something. We've just got to get that watchman.
Dragnet. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. You get a call that a well-dressed man has held up a diamond merchant. He's escaped into the crowded streets of your city. Your job? Get him.
animated drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, February 8th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief Detective Thad Brown. My name's Frank. I was on my way back from communications, and it was 12:10 p.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery.
You get the wire off, Hearn?
Yeah, I should have an answer this afternoon.
If he doesn't come in, we better call him.
Yeah. You want to get something to eat?
Yeah, it's about that time. Where do you want to go?
No, how about the stakeout?
Good. I could use a couple enchiladas.
Get your hat.
You want to tag the skipper before we leave?
No, he's not in. I saw him go out with Chief Brown. We can talk to him when we get back, huh?
Right.
Let's go. It's a hot one. I'll get it.
Sauce?
Yeah, diamond merchant just hit for a load of unset diamonds.
Big score?
He'll buy a group of enchiladas.
Huh?
$80,000 worth. Frank and I left the city hall and drove over to the address we'd gotten on the hotshot phone. It was a large office building on Hope Street. From the lobby register, we found that the victim, a Mr. George Mars, occupied suite 318. We checked with the uniformed officers who answered the call, and then we went upstairs to talk with Mars.
Well, I tell you, officer, there wasn't anything about him that'd make a person think he was a hold-up man.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
You want to tell us exactly what happened?
Well, sure. There's not much to talk about. I was sitting here looking at the papers, checking the sales.
What's that?
Dollar Day.
Oh,
I figured maybe I could get a good buy on some suits. I've been needing them. Figured maybe I could pick up a couple on sale. Not for $1, you know, but on sale.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, just sitting here reading the paper, and all of a sudden the door opens, and in comes this fellow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice looking. Sure, no reason to think there was anything wrong.
Yeah.
Told me he wanted to see some diamonds on set.
Mm-hmm. You say why you wanted to see him?
Yeah, something about opening a store up in the valley someplace around Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
I felt kind of good. You know, to think a man had come all the way down here to look at the stones I've got.
Did you say why he did that?
No, I didn't ask. Lots of times that happens. Been in business quite a while. Word gets around.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the man said he wanted to see some stones. I went back to the safe to get them.
Yeah.
Picked up several trays and brought them out here. When I took another look, he was sitting right there. There, holding a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Just as calm as can be, pointing the old gun right at me.
Did he say anything to you?
Told me to put the diamonds on the counter, not to make any noise. Said if I played it smart, I wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I wish you could have seen this fellow. Just as calm as could be, he reached in his pocket, took out a pair of gloves, put them on. Then he scooped all the diamonds into a little bag he was carrying and told me to get into the back room.
Yeah.
Made me lay down on the floor, and then he locked the door. Told me not to make any noise. Said to count to 100 by ones before I tried to yell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after he locked the door, I heard him leave the office. I started counting.
All right, Mr. Mars, can you give us a description of the man?
Outside of the fact he had the gun, I can't tell you anything about him. I've been trying to pull a picture out of my head, but there just isn't anything.
Well, maybe we can help you.
Go ahead. I don't think it'll do any good.
All right, let's start with his age. How old was he?
I don't know. Medium, I guess.
30, 35? Older, younger?
I don't know.
How tall was he?
Oh, I guess you'd say he was... I don't know.
Well, when you looked at him, did he seem to be larger or smaller than yourself?
About the same.
Well, then he'd be about, 5'10", 11?
I guess so. I don't remember.
What about his face? Can you tell us anything about that?
Nope.
Do you have a mustache?
Might have.
But you aren't sure.
No.
Wear glasses?
I don't remember.
Well, now, think real carefully. Is there anything at all that you can remember about him?
Yeah, but it's kind of silly.
Well, what is it?
When I came back with the diamonds and he was holding the gun, I noticed his hands.
Yeah?
His fingernails were manicured.
Yeah?
Yeah, real clean and with some kind of polish on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
I'll check with the fellows outside, Joe. Maybe they came up with something.
Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir?
I'm sure sorry about this not being able to help more.
Well, don't worry about it, Mr. Mars.
I'm sure sorry.
I'll be right back, Joe.
All right.
You have a cigarette, Mr. Friday?
Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks.
Here's a light.
I got it. This kind of thing happen to you often?
How do you mean?
Oh, where somebody's robbed and can't remember what the hold-up man looked like?
Once in a while.
Well, what do you do about it?
Try to find another way.
You usually find one?
Most of the time.
Joe?
Yeah.
See you, man?
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I checked with the men in the radio unit.
Yeah.
They got a guy downstairs. We better talk to him.
Suspect?
No, eyewitness.
Frank and I went down to the lobby of the building, and we met with the uniformed officers who'd answered the call. They introduced us to Stanley Markin. Markin said he'd seen the hold-up man.
And I did. Saw him plain as anything.
When was that, sir?
Yeah? Must have been right after he held up old Mars.
Where'd you see him?
Hall, right outside the office, right in front of the door, practically.
Mm-hmm.
On the way to my place, and this man come out of Mars. Roaring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I opened the door, and bam, right into me, like to knock me down. Really roaring.
Mm-hmm.
Had this little black leash, you know, about this big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right here. Had a death grip on it.
Well, did you get a good look at the man?
Closer than I am to you, run right into me. Thought sure I was going to end up on the floor. Yeah.
Can you give us a description?
Sure. What do you want to know?
What do you look like?
Nothing special, just a run-of-the-mill crook. Seen one, seen them all.
Okay. How old was he?
Oh, guess about 28, maybe 30, around in there.
How tall?
Like you.
He'd be about 6 feet.
Well, that's what you are?
Yes, sir, pretty close.
Yeah.
How was he built?
Medium. Didn't seem to have a lot of beef, just average.
Uh-huh. How was he dressed?
Had a gray suit on, dark gray, little red pattern going through it.
Single or double-breasted?
Single.
Uh-huh. What color shirt?
White, blue tie. One of them new ones, you know, little thin kinds, you know, little bitty knot. Had one of them bar things through the collar, holes in, you know.
Uh-huh.
Square ends.
What's that?
On the bar. Square ends, not round like most of them. Square,
I see. Was he wearing a hat?
Yeah. Blue Humber, dark. Had it kind of down over one eye. Looked real rakish, like a spy.
Mm-hmm. Was he clean-shaven?
Yeah. How do you mean?
Did he have a mustache?
No, didn't.
Was he wearing glasses?
Not that I saw. Might have had them, but he wasn't wearing them.
Did he say anything to you?
Not a peep. He just wham, and then he took off. Made me real mad. Guy almost knocks you down, then doesn't even say he's sorry.
Uh-huh.
He took off, and when I thought about it, I went after him.
Did you see if he was carrying a gun?
I just told you I went after him.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a coward, but I ain't no fool either. I'd have seen a gun, I wouldn't have gone near him.
Yes, sir.
Guy didn't even wait for the elevator. Just run off the stairs. Fire exit, you know.
Yeah.
Down 3 stories. All the way by stairs. Tell you, it almost got me, but I was so sore about being run into, and then no apology, just nothing. I went after him.
Yes.
We got to the lobby, and he went out on the street. Thought I had him sure there. Place was all crowded. The dollar day, you know.
Yeah, we know.
Didn't think he'd be able to run far with all them people.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't.
What's that?
He didn't run very far. Only to the curb, and he jumped in a taxi.
Yeah.
Cab took off. I tried to get there before it left, but didn't make it. Too many crowds.
Mm-hmm.
I got the number of the cab he took, got it written down in my office.
Can we go up and get it?
Sure. Scientifics come out yet?
What's that?
Scientifics, you know. Fingerprints and all. They come yet?
No, not yet.
Well, they get here, and it'll be toodaloo to him. Them guys in their machine, just a matter of dropping a few cards in some gadget, and ping, there's the name.
Yes, sir. Well, it'll be a little more than that.
Yeah, that's what you think. Soon as the scientifics get here, have them come and see me, first thing.
You bet.
Give him something to really work on.
What do you mean?
Yeah, good start on who the fella is.
What's that?
When he bumped into me upstairs, he dropped his hat, flew right off his head. Guy didn't stop to pick it up. I got it. It's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Got his name in it.
12:32 p.m. The crew from the crime lab arrived and started their investigation of the office where the robbery had taken place. Frank and I got the description of the thief out, and then we started to check on the cab number. The suspect's hat was turned over to the crime lab. When Frank and I looked at it, we found the initials TR on the inner band and the name of a men's store in Las Vegas, Nevada. Lieutenant Lee Jones said they'd run a check on it for us. The stats office started a run on the M.O. and the description. Both the victim and Stanley Markin were taken to the city hall to look through the mug books for a possible identification. At 1:26 p.m., we obtained the name of the cab driver who'd picked up the suspect. The company told us that his regular stand was at the corner of 6th and Broadway. When we got there, the driver was out on a call. We waited until 2:14 p.m. when he returned.
Yeah, I remember him. Picked him up in front of the Jerks building.
That's right. Now, can you tell us where you took him?
Not right off. It should be on the way bill, though.
Would you check for it?
Sure, just a minute. I'll get it.
Be a nice break if he's got it.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. I picked him up at 12:06 and dropped him at the Toddle Inn bar over on Fig.
Did he go in the place?
Yeah, I was making out the log. I saw him.
Did he say anything to you on the way over?
No, nothing special. Seemed kind of nervous, kept looking back. I figured there was something wrong, but you get so many crackpots in this business, you can't take time to worry about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So what'd he do?
Feel a little better if we talk to him about that.
Yeah, sure. Oh, one thing he said might help you out.
What's that?
Well, he wanted to know where he could get an airline schedule.
Yeah.
Said he was anxious to get out of town.
The cab driver verified the description of the suspect. We put in a call to the airport detail and gave them the suspect's description. The bus depots and railroad terminals were also alerted. 2:47 p.m. We drove over to the Toddle Inn bar.
What'll it be?
Police officers. Want to ask you a couple of questions?
Nothing wrong, is there?
I'd like you to tell us.
Look around. You won't find nothing out of line. It's a clean place.
Mm-hmm. Who's been in here this morning?
Huh?
How many people have been here?
Well, just a couple. It's kind of slow. Why?
We're looking for a man about 28 or 30, 6 feet tall, medium build, wearing a dark gray suit. And the way we got it, he was in here about 12:15, 12:30.
Today?
That's right.
What's he done?
Was he here?
I don't want any trouble.
You're saying it the wrong way. Now, was the man in here?
Yeah?
Who is he?
I don't know.
You want us to buy that?
It's the way it is. If you don't like the color, shove off.
No, you don't mean that, do you?
Look, cop, the door was open when you came in, no lock. Same way when he was here. Came in, had a drink, that's it. You try to build any more, you're going to find out you lost the paddle.
Get your coat.
Huh?
You heard me. Move.
What are you going to do, take me downtown?
That's it.
Gotta get somebody to watch your place.
We'll wait.
Look, it doesn't seem very fair.
How do you mean that?
I didn't have part of the action.
Well, why don't you tell us?
The guy came in, he ordered bourbon and milk. He sat there and drank it. Had a couple more and left. Doesn't mean anything to me.
And why you stand in front of him?
I don't know. The place is clean. I like to keep it that way.
Who is he?
Look, I tell you true, I can't pull up a name.
Well, now, suppose you try.
Tom something.
Is he in here often?
A couple times a week.
What's the attraction?
Look, why don't you tell me what it's all about? Maybe we can make a deal.
We don't need you on our side.
Why does he come in?
To see Alice.
Who's she?
Waitress.
What's her last name?
Colbar.
She go with this fella?
I don't know if it's serious. They've been out a couple of times, dinner and a show.
Where do we find her?
I guess she's home. She don't come to work till 4:30.
You got her address?
It's in the book.
Get it.
No other way?
Get it.
Okay.
Does Tom make a phone call while he was here?
No.
What do you have to say to you?
He told me just wound up a deal. He did pretty good on it. Said he was going home.
You live in town?
Not regular. He's from, I don't know, Nevada, I think.
You say where?
Well, he mentioned some small town, a Boulder City, I think. It's not a street or anything there.
You want to get the girl's address?
Yeah. I hope you understand about before.
What do you mean?
Why I wouldn't go with you from the front.
Tell us.
Well, it's Alice.
Yeah.
She'd be in real trouble if it got out she was seeing Tom.
Why?
I don't think her husband would go for it.
We called the name and description of the waitress into R&I, but we found there was no record on her. Frank and I left the bar and went over to her home. It was a run-down apartment building on Court Street. We checked with the manager, and she told us that the girl's husband left about 9:30 that morning. She went on to say that Alice Colbar seldom left the place before 3:30, and that as far as she knew, she was still at home. Frank and I went up to talk to her.
Probably asleep, huh?
Mm-hmm. Miss Colbar.
The door open?
Yeah. You got your flashlight?
Yeah, here.
Miss Colbar? Throw the light over there, Frank, in the corner near the bed.
I'll call an ambulance.
Yeah. Tell them to step on her.
How'd she look?
Like she's dead. From the appearance of the room, there'd been a fight. Furniture was overturned, lamps were broken, several bottles had apparently been smashed against the walls. The body of Alice Colbar was lying on the floor near the bed. Her face was buried in the pillows as if she'd used it to ward off additional blows from her attacker. An ambulance crew arrived, and she was removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital for treatment. A thorough search of the room failed to turn up anything to lead to the identity of the person who'd beaten her. We talked to the landlady again, and we found that Irvin Colbar, the victim's husband, was employed at a golf driving range out in the valley. We checked the name and description through the record section, and we found that he had one arrest for drunk driving. He'd been fined and placed on probation. 4:26 p.m. Frank and I drove out to talk to him.
I knew you'd be here.
Is that right?
How's that?
Pretty rough.
I don't know. Just all of a sudden there was a beef, and I hit her.
With what?
My hands.
What started the argument?
Tom.
Who's he?
Friend of Alice's.
You know his last name?
No, I never even met him.
All right, tell us about it, will you?
What you don't know already, everybody else does.
Go ahead.
Been going together for a couple of months. Alice works at a bar. Tom came in all the time. I guess it got pretty serious.
Yeah.
I went by the place last night, going to pick her up after work. She was gone. Bartender there told me she'd left with this fellow, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I got pretty sore. You can figure what it's like finding your wife running around with another man.
Yeah.
I had a couple of drinks. I'm trying to think what to do. Right then, I wanted to kill both of them. A couple of guys in the bar tried to calm me down. I guess I got pretty loaded. One of them took me to his place. I spent the night there.
Mm-hmm.
Woke up this morning, went home. Now, you got to believe me, I wasn't real sore anymore. Mad, yeah, but not so I was going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Alice was asleep when I got there. I woke her up, told her I knew all about her and Tom.
Yeah.
Kind of thought she'd be sorry, say she was wrong, something like that.
Uh-huh.
She wasn't. Told me how her and Tom were in love and that she wanted a divorce so they could get married. Tried to talk to her, tell her how I loved her. Didn't do any good. She said we were all through, for me to pack my things and get out. I guess that's when I hit her. I don't know. All of a sudden I wanted to smash her. That's all there is.
You ever met this Tom?
No.
How about the other guys in the bar? They know him?
To talk to. I think that's about it.
Any idea where he lived?
No. Tried to find out last night. None of the people around the place know. If I found out, I'd kill him.
All right, you better get your coat.
Yeah. What are they going to do to me?
That's not up to us.
I didn't kill her, though, huh?
She's still in a critical condition.
Guess it doesn't make a difference anyway. We've only been married a couple of years. Won't be much without her. Never figured it'd end up like this.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved her. Done anything in the world to make her happy. How do you answer it?
What's that?
Why she did it.
I wouldn't know.
I asked her, she wouldn't tell me. Just said it was over. She wouldn't give me one reason.
All right, come on, let's go.
Can I see her?
We'll check on it.
I want to ask her, find out why. Maybe she'll tell me now.
Yeah, she can hear you. Irvin Colbar was taken to the main jail and booked in on charges of suspicion of violation of Section 245 PC, assault with a deadly weapon. We put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, and we found that the Colbar woman had been removed to the county hospital. She was still unconscious. We made arrangements to be called in the event she was able to be questioned. 6:45 p.m. We talked to Lieutenant Lee Jones. He told us that the lab had been unable to come up with any useful information at the scene of the crime. He said that they'd identified the manufacturer of the hat that the suspect had worn, and they gave us their local address. He went on to say, however, that hairs found on the lining of the hat would act as corroborative evidence if the suspect were apprehended. We put in a call to the hat company, but we found that their offices were closed. We contacted the Las Vegas Police Department and asked them to check on the store who'd sold the garment. We gave them a complete description of the suspect and the initials TR with the possible first name of Tom. They said they'd call back the next morning with whatever information they could obtain. Wednesday, February 9th, we got word from County Hospital that Mrs. Alice Colbar had died in her sleep without regaining consciousness. The case was turned over to homicide officers for completion. Additional teams of men were sent out to the bar where she was employed in an effort to find some trace of the missing suspect. 11:15 a.m.
Robert Smith. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the one to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what'd they say? Yeah. How many? Uh-huh. It looks pretty good, huh? What about a record? Yeah. Okay. 1864? 54? Right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. We'll let you know. Thanks for the help. Bye. Las Vegas.
What do you got?
Well, I checked with the clothing store where the hat was bought.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new model, only been out a couple of months.
You remember the guy who bought it?
Yeah. Description didn't mean anything, but the initials did. Clerk said the hat was bought by Thomas Rourke.
Vegas got anything on him?
Yeah, a couple of arrests for robbery.
Do any big time?
No, the cases wouldn't hold.
They know where he is?
They got an idea.
Yeah.
He's supposed to live out in Covina.
Frank and I checked the name Thomas Rourke through R&I, and we found one assault arrest on a man answering his description. The mug shots were pulled and shown to the robbery victim and the witness. Both of them gave us positive identifications. We contacted the Covina Police Department and told them what had happened. They assured us a complete cooperation. Along with Officers J.J. O'Donnell and Sergeant Jim Austin, Frank and I left the office to take the suspect into custody. We met with officers from the Covina PD, and we drove to 1854 Eldred Avenue. It was a small redwood house set well back on the lot. In the driveway was a late-model Plymouth coupe. From the street, there was no sign of life. The shades were drawn, and the front porch was covered with advertising newspapers. While O'Donnell and Austin covered the rear of the house, Frank and I went up to the front door. You all set?
Yeah. No one here.
All right, take that second.
Right. Nothing out back. How you doing?
Wait a minute. Closet.
I give up, don't you?
Go on out there.
Yes, sir. I'll do like you say. No trouble, sir, please. No trouble.
Keep those hands where I can see them.
Yes, sir. Just like you say.
Now, turn around. Hands on the wall. Quick.
Yes, sir.
Come on, move.
You won't find anything. Haven't done anything wrong. You got the wrong man.
Yeah, sure.
I'm telling you the truth, sir. I wouldn't lie.
All right, come on, let's go.
Yes, sir. I get a coat?
Point it out.
In the closet. Great.
I'll get it.
What's this all about, sir?
You don't need a picture.
I'm afraid I do. I don't know why you're doing this.
That's your car in the driveway?
Yes, sir.
You live here alone?
No, sir. This is my sister's house.
Where's she?
Working, sir.
Here, stick it on.
Let's go. Can I get a hat?
Don't bother.
Huh?
We got one that'll fit you. The suspect was taken to the city hall and questioned. For an hour, he maintained that he didn't know anything about the diamond robbery. While Frank and I were talking to him, the other officers were making a thorough search of his sister's house and her grounds. 3:15 p.m., we got word that the diamonds had been found in the backyard of the place. When he was confronted with this information, the suspect made a full confession. 6:08 p.m., he'd just finished giving us a statement. All right. This is a true statement, is it?
Yes, sir.
You make it without promises of reward or immunity. There's been no force exerted on you. You give this statement of your own free will, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here. Here's a pen. Sign all copies.
Too bad about Alice.
Yeah.
Nice kid. Got too serious, though.
Is that so?
Yep. Yeah, I talked all the time about how she was going to leave her husband, how we were going to get married.
Sign all copies, fellow.
Yeah.
And this one here. Get this one here.
She knew I was going back to Nevada. Wanted me to take her.
Mm-hmm.
Silly.
Yeah.
Nothing between us. A little flirtation. You know, something to kill time. She didn't mean anything to me, nothing at all.
Want to give me that pen?
Yeah. I wouldn't have married her on a bet. I'll tell you that for true.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't mean a thing to me. You ought to believe it.
Look, fella, you don't have to convince us.
Huh?
We'll let you talk to her husband.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 9th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Thomas Emery Rourke was tried and convicted of robbery in the first degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Irvin Franklin Colbar was tried and convicted of murder in the second degree and was sentenced to the state penitentiary for a period of from 5 years to life.
Just heard Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action, and starring Jack Webb, a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Broadcasting Company brings to its entire network one of radio's most unusual programs, Pat Novak For Hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak.
For Hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak, for hire. If you're trying to make a living down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to run things like a smorgasbord. You take a little of everything you can get your hands on. Even then, it's a bumpy ride, because down here, everybody tries to pad his part. Oh, I rent boats and do anything else good men pay bad men to do. You don't get many gold stars that way, but you pay the bar bill, and it's about as safe as a closet full of tigers. The only way you can make friends down on the waterfront is to die. I found that out Tuesday night. I went to the wrestling matches and watched Gorgeous George throw some guy around like a poker chip in Tijuana. I was in the middle of the crowd on my way out of the place when this guy stepped up behind me and started talking.
You got company, Novak.
Huh?
I said you got company. On both sides.
No. Did your friend get his face at a fire sale, too?
Can't all be pretty. Keep walking, Novak.
This gun in my back supposed to help?
That's up to you. Straight ahead and out the side door.
You got the right growl, but the wrong guy, mister.
You keep working your mouth, but nothing comes out. All right, this way.
What are your plans? Shall we take the kids?
The car right down here.
Now, look, big shot. In a drugstore, I get all the mystery I want for 2 bits.
You want things explained?
Yeah, besides Shovelhead here, I don't understand a thing.
We just want Joe Denine.
I never heard of him either.
We just want Joe Denine.
All right, you can have him. You're welcome. See his wife. See anybody you like. I don't even know the guy.
You're full of talk. As soon as you want to make it the right kind, you can go home. Here we are, into the back seat. You drive, Eddie.
You boys run on. I'll grab a cab.
Get in! You're not going to take a boat. That's it. Just be a good mouse.
You got a lot of time to waste it this way, mister.
You're too gaddy, Novak.
And you're too tough, Junior.
And this noise is beginning to give me a headache.
Oh!
Let's go, Eddie. Novak's going to sulk a while.
He could have taken 3 bases on that wallet. I spread out on the back seat like a bowl of cake batter and tried to think of a guy named Joe Denine. There was nobody on my list for that name. But the way these 2 gunsels acted, he was supposed to be a blood relative. I could hear him talking dimly, and I tried to follow the conversation, but it was like trying to put a smoke ring in your pocket. I don't know how long the tour lasted. It must have been about 30 or 40 minutes when the car pulled up and the big gun started to yank me.
Wake up! Wake up, sweet boy! Come on, it's time for your 10 o'clock feeding.
Yeah. Wait till I borrow some legs, huh?
Come on, you never looked better. All right. Down the dock here.
Are we playing a new game or hunting a guy named Denine?
That's right.
Good. Now I know the rules.
Well, is that your boat, Novak?
It's got my name on it.
Is that your boat, Novak?
Well, what's it look like? The Normandy? Of course it's my boat. Who threw the blood all over it? One of your friends?
Maybe Denine.
Now, look, you better back up and start a recap. I never heard of Denine, and from the size of his friends, I'm just about as happy.
You mean he didn't rent a boat off you?
If he used that boat, he stole it, mister. I closed up tonight at 7.
You make it sound good.
It is good. I've been off the waterfront 4 hours. In the meantime, somebody takes my boat and gets it chock full of holes and sends you around a week. Who is Denine?
A friend.
I don't blame either of you for hanging on to one.
We were supposed to meet him at your landing at 10. He was going to rent one of your boats, and we were going to meet him at 10.
There's the boat. You want to pay the damages?
We came early and found the boat piled up, blood all over and no Denine. You got any ideas?
Maybe he cut himself shaving. Dragged the bay, mister. I don't know your guy, but somebody did. They met him out there in the bay and cut him down.
You sound happy.
Now, look, I don't care one way or another, except he used my boat. If he wanted to die, he should have hired a Davenport. That's all I know. I never heard of Joe Denine.
Yeah.
You and your friend here better go sap somebody else.
Sure, Novak. We'll look around, but hang on to your cards because you still got a hand in this game.
Thanks, Mother. I'll remember that.
Watch out, Eddie! Watch out! You all right, Eddie? Nice curve, Novak.
You're wrong, mister. My friends ride the cable car.
You made a bum pitch, Novak. Nice run.
All right, let go. You can't afford a fight now.
I want you for Eddie, Novak.
Sorry, fellow. The water's going to be cold.
Hey, what's the trouble? Trouble going on?
No. Whatever gave you that idea?
I'm a night watchman over here. That fellow lying on the dock there dead?
Well, if he's not, he's going to catch cold.
What about the other fellow? Maybe he can't swim.
What do you care? He doesn't.
Oh. They come here looking for something?
Yeah.
Guess they didn't find it, huh?
Somebody's satisfied. They were trying to find the guy that came out of that boat down there.
Oh, you mean the funny-looking guy?
Huh?
A guy got out of that boat a few hours ago, all banged up. I think he was in a fight.
Yeah?
Sure, somebody shot him. I think he was in a fight.
Where'd he go?
Down the dock toward the street. He asked about a fella and went down the dock.
Oh.
He asked about a fella named Novak. Do you know him?
Yeah, but I'll do my best to forget. It wasn't going to be easy to forget. I knew there was a guy wandering around San Francisco waiting to jog my memory. And before long, somebody was going to find out those two dead guys weren't doing light housekeeping down on the dock. Once homicide smelled that red meat, they'd turn Inspector Hellman loose. That's like pouring a bottle of cyanide in a wedding cake. Oh, he's a smart cop with a heart the size of a full-grown pea. I got off the dock in a hurry and I went home. When I left, the watchman was still standing there waiting to check in the next murder and smiling like a vulture with the first option on a massacre. Well, I had to get home and look sweet in case Hellman showed up. When I opened the door to my place, Hellman was on the couch with a pencil in one hand and a movie magazine in the other.
Hello, Novak. You busy?
No, I'll just stand here and watch you. A little more of that pencil and movie magazine routine, and you'll break out in a cold sweat.
Where have you been?
Staying out of other people's apartments?
I got an answer for that.
You haven't got an answer for anything, Hellman. You can't fill in the return address envelope. What's on your mind?
Can I make a call?
No, not to play cat and mouse. If you want to know about that bloodbath down on the dock, say so.
Yeah?
They're close strangers. I never saw either of them before.
You're getting loose around the mouth, Novak.
Huh?
That's right. If some of your playmates stub their toes, it's news to me. You better tell me, though. It'll save time.
Well, what's the use? If a fact walked up and sat in your lap, you'd lose it.
Suit yourself. Have a drink?
Yeah, I will. Where's the bottle opener?
Huh?
The bottle opener. You got teeth for it. I need a bottle opener, Hellman.
I don't know. Try the kitchen.
All right. Yeah.
Try the light.
Well.
About this guy on the floor, Novak. Don't tell him to move because I don't think he can.
When I looked down at the guy on the floor, I felt like a burlap sack from the neck down. He was a big guy lying on his back, and you got the idea he took it hard. He didn't like the way the vote came in. Because he wasn't relaxed the way most people are when they're on the prowl for a harp. He was about as rigid as a coil of wet line on a steamer deck. His face was pockmarked and the color of an old piece of abalone. Hellman was standing over him, and the shadow cut across the lower part of his face. It almost blocked out the gun, a big .38 lying about 4 feet away. The rest of the kitchen was a mess. It was torn up worse than a Japanese lantern in a high wind. Hellman was leaning against the cabinet and smiling, like the banker in a crooked blackjack game.
Does he belong to you, Novak?
No, he's not pretty enough. Roll him over. We'll find out who he is.
I've already been through his stuff.
Wipe your hands. The green still shows.
His name is Joe Denine.
You sure we're popular, Joe.
Why?
The scavenger hunt. Every garnet in town's been looking for him.
I figured you for the prize.
2 of them picked me up and lugged me down to the waterfront.
Yeah?
I told you about them. They ran into bad weather.
Why'd they take you?
Because I look like a bird dog, maybe. I don't know why, Hellman. They just took me. In the meantime, Sunshine here took my boat out and got shot up.
And he came up here to borrow your adhesive tape.
That's all I know, Hellman. He must have figured me for a part.
I got the same trouble, Novak. That gun on the floor helps, too.
That gun's second lead at best. I never saw it before.
It's the murder gun. How'd it get here?
I don't know.
Maybe the scullery maid left it. Come on, Novak. You're in the spot. You better start digging.
If I do any digging, the dirt's going to go in your face, Hellman.
You've got a nice face, too, Novak.
You better buy a big shield, Hellman. You've got a lot to hide behind.
Stop beefing. You're the host. What about the safety deposit box?
You're ahead of me on that one. You ought to have your picture taken.
He was talking about a safety deposit box when I got here.
It was alive when you got here?
That's right. Show more joy. The neighbors heard the shooting and phoned in.
Well, who did it? What did he say?
He said, tough luck, copper. That's all he said. Something about a safety deposit box and tough luck, copper.
Oh, that's real fine. You let him die clammed up. You're smart, Hellman. You let him off with a third-rate tagline.
You're lucky, Novak. This way it's going to take me 12 hours to wrap you up. I'm going to run that gun through and check a couple of things, then I'll be on your tail.
I want to see you follow something up, Hellman. With that big nose of yours, you couldn't find a moose in the bathtub.
Look, Novak, you're a small-time waterfront punk. You've been lucky so far, but you're still a punk. I don't like you, and I'm going to hang you by your heels. I'm going to get you. If it's the last thing I ever do, I'm going to get you.
Hellman, if I thought you were on the level about that, I'd give myself up. When Hellman left, things were about as dim as a glowworm at high noon. All the leads were tucked away in the morgue. Those two stiffs on the dock checked out with nothing but a grunt, and the guy up in my place left a .38 and some mild regrets. I had the funny feeling there was a lead up there in that apartment, but I couldn't get a hold of it. Something waiting to be understood, the way a thing gets balanced on the edge of your brain, half in, half out, like the melody but not the words of an old song. Well, I didn't know where to turn. I was hunting for the shoreline on a dark night. So I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he's all right, but he's got the idea that all liquid that isn't 100 proof lacks character. I finally found him in a little bar down near Union Square. He was talking to a blonde girl and a sailor when I walked in.
Ah, Patsy, you find me in the late October of my life, trying to recapture a few April moments.
Yeah, Jocko, I got to talk to you.
That's what I like about good whiskey. It makes you too sentimental to be mad at yourself for growing old.
Now, look, I'm in a jam. Lay off that stuff long enough to listen.
Patsy, you underrate the grape. It's a terrible mistake. It's thrown off the whole perspective of history.
All right, Jocko.
Like that story about young Washington and the cherry tree. They blame him for that, but actually it was his first hint of future greatness.
Yeah.
They talk about vandalism, whereas the truth of the matter is he was just preparing a few Manhattans for the family. The whole perspective of history has been altered, Patsy.
Oh, stop it, will you? I'm in trouble. Will you help me out?
Yes, if you'll allow me to get a word in edgewise. What kind of trouble?
There's a dead guy up at my place.
Oh, I don't know why you're in trouble. Think of his bleak outlook on things.
Hellman's nosing around and he thinks I did it.
Did you?
No, he got shot in relays, but he picked my place to quit. And there are two other dead guys down on the dock.
What were their practices?
They strong-armed me about 10 o'clock and took me down to the waterfront. We were supposed to find a guy named Joe Denine, but they looked too ripe to somebody.
How about Denine?
He's that guy up at my place. When Hellman got there, he was muttering about a safety deposit box and staring at a big .38. Oh, come on, you gotta help me, Jocko.
Yes, where would you like me to spread the ashes?
I want you to get out and find out everything you can about Joe Denine, will you?
He's your house guest. Why don't you go?
Hit the Chronicle and the Examiner morgues and try to find out if he has a safety deposit box in any of the banks, huh?
Where are you going? Before prison, I mean.
I'm going down and lie in Hellman's shadow until something turns up. I need every minute, Jocko, so hurry.
Well, I'll need a quick one for the road first.
You'll get going right now, Jocko.
Patsy, you have a defiant attitude for a man on the doorstep to the next world. Try to be sweeter until you discover your normal disposition will do. You can start by paying my bar bill.
All right. Will you hurry? How much do you owe?
About $11.
What have you been doing all night? Are you crazy?
I may owe $11, Patsy, but so far I've had a better night than you have. Good night, lover.
I had to get started on some answers because once Hellman checked on those two guys at the dock, he'd go to work on me. He'd keep hacking away and finally cut me down like a piece of flint in a cigarette lighter. Well, after I left Jocko, I started down to headquarters. It was a little after midnight and the streets were wet and silent, except that now and then you could hear a woman's laughter coming out of the dark as you passed along. That's the only sound the night keeps whole. Well, I was cutting down Leavenworth Street when it came to me. I knew what my lead was up in that apartment. It didn't hit me suddenly. It kept shoving in like a piece of old seaweed on the water, moving in and out and finally brushing up against you. If that guy was alive when Hellman got there, that meant that maybe he could have phoned somebody. And if he did, then they'd have a record of it down at the desk. Well, I got back to my place and asked the operator. Oh, it feels good when you got the right sweepstakes ticket. She said a call had been put in from my place at 10:15 to the Ambrose Hotel, room 204. Well, at last things were beginning to make sense. They must have made sense for about 5 seconds because Hellman called. The girl handed me the phone and he started in.
I got news for you, Novak. We checked the prints on that murder gun. They don't add.
Take your trouble to the chaplain, Hellman. I got my quota.
Yeah. You got fancy friends, too, Novak. The prints belong to Jake Fidello.
Yeah, how do you spell that?
F-I-D... You're cute, aren't you, Novak?
To Jake Fidello, I'm nothing. Who is he?
Cheap punk like you, Novak. He's working out a 20-year stretch in Alcatraz.
Huh?
Yeah, Alcatraz. So there's no time between the murder gun and the murder.
Maybe Fidello bought himself a 2-day furlough.
We already checked. The guard saw him in his cell at 11 o'clock tonight reading a book.
Guards pay the rent, too, Hellman. My boat was out in that bay tonight, and it came back full of bullets and blood. Now you're trying to tell me there's no connection. You better find out if a guy can skip Alcatraz for a few hours.
I'll wait, Novak. Maybe you can tell me how it's done before long.
Well, nothing matched now. It was like the chorus girl's legs in a cheap nightclub. If Jake Fidello was smart enough to beat Alcatraz for a couple of hours, then he wasn't dumb enough to leave that murder gun behind. And what was the connection between Denine and Jake Fidello? And who lived at the Ambrose Hotel? Well, I went up there to find out. It was a small place up near the top of Telegraph Hill, and when I rode by, I could see Alcatraz sitting out on the bay, a lonely island full of birthdays. The Ambrose turned out to be a high-toned little joint, the sort of place where the welcome mats printed in Old English. I went up to 204. The card in the door said Frederica Sims. I knocked, and when the door opened, it was like shaking hands with a flamethrower. She was a tall number, and she screamed Final Edition all over. She stood in the doorway for a minute and swayed in a nice, contented way, like a snake on the right diet. And when she said hello, you wanted to hand her your arm and say, twist.
Good evening.
Yeah. My name's Novak.
I'll remember. Won't you come in?
It'll save an argument.
Good. I hope you don't mind crowds, Mr. Novak.
She means me, Mr. Novak. I'm Mike Trevor.
And I'm Freddie Sims.
Well, that brings us up to date.
A drink would do so much more. You need a drink, Mr. Novak. You look a little dusty.
Don't mind her, Novak. She addresses all people as peasants.
All right, now suppose you two landowners tell me who killed Joe Denine.
You know, Mike, I don't think he wants the drink.
We'll all celebrate when you get around to Denine.
I don't think we know a man by the name of Denine, particularly if he's dead.
Yes, I'm sure we wouldn't like him.
Come on, let's drop the smart talk. Come on, back in the saloon. A guy by the name of Joe Denine died all over my kitchen tonight.
Don't get tough, Novak. If you missed your dinner, all right, but don't come up here screaming about your dead friend.
Now, look, I'm about 10 feet behind a phone call. Denine put in a call for this number just before he died.
Then it was whimsy, Novak, or anything else you'd like to call it. We don't know the man. You can mull it over on your way downstairs.
Yeah, and you can use the time to think over that safety deposit box.
What safety deposit box?
Oh, you're jumping your cue, lady. Make it more casual, huh?
Do you know what you're talking about, Novak?
You think so?
I'll tell you what I'll do, Novak. I'll buy that key from you.
You got a deal, unless you want to pay it off with money.
You mean Joe Denine?
That's right. I'm running front on a murder rap. You want that key. If you want it bad enough, come on down to headquarters and we'll make a trade.
No, thanks, Novak. You didn't look bright, but I thought you might be hiding your brains somewhere. This way you lose money.
You lose even more, Trevor. I was going to ease you into that murder rap, but the offer's out. You'll have to struggle in, and you'll be too tired to get out.
Can I loan either of you boys a pickaxe?
No, thanks. Well, I'm going to run along. Can I drop you anyplace, Novak?
I'll stay.
You know, I didn't think I could drop you anyplace. Novak, you ought to sell that gleam in your eye. Some airport could use it. Good night, Freddie. Be careful.
Good night, Mike. I can take care of myself.
Yes, if you try. That's all I was worried about.
Your friend reads the wrong books.
I'll bet you never wasted your time that way. Why don't you sit down on the couch here and have a drink, Patsy? Now that the argument's over.
Is it?
Well, at least we need a drink.
Yeah, sure. That'll make the talk come easy. About that key.
Do you think I want the key?
Like nothing else in the world.
No. That's a little rash, Patsy. But I do want it. I want it very badly.
Those are famous last words, lady. You heard the round with Mike. The prices haven't changed.
Mm-hmm. That's too expensive, darling. Here's your drink. What are you looking at, Patsy?
You? The way you slide around on that couch?
Yes.
Yeah. You belong in the Everglades.
If I were there, Patsy, I think you're the kind of a guy who'll be right around the next bend.
You sound pretty sure. That's a good way to lose your shirt.
I am sure, Patsy. I know that about us. We belong in the swamp.
Yeah.
We belong together. Because we're the same kind. We're neither good nor bad. We just are. And that has to do.
You make it sound corny, baby.
Try to hide, darling, but I can see you peeking through your fingers. I can see you awfully good from here, Patsy.
Watch out. You're backing into a corner, Angel.
But I've got you with me.
Make some more noise, huh? I like it.
It's true. I've got you with me, haven't I, Patsy?
I can still struggle.
I'll bet you don't struggle good. I'll bet you don't struggle good at all, Patsy.
I still got that key, baby.
Yes, you see.
It stays at my place.
I could eat you, Patsy. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
You never hand me my drink. The soda at the end of the table?
Sure.
That's it, darling.
It doesn't pay much to fall in love. I spent enough time on her rug to work my way into the design. And when I finally came to, it was morning. There was nobody around the place, so I started for home. On the way, I tried to fill in the blind spots, but it was like trying to match pearls in the dark. Somebody had killed Denine for the key to that safety deposit box, but where was the key? If the girl or Mike Trevor did it, then why were they still on the trail? Well, when I got to my apartment, the place was torn apart. Looked something like a mop closet after a New Year's Eve party. Jocko was sitting in the middle of the room listening to the water fizz.
Good morning. Where'd you get the bump on the head?
Romance. What'd you find out, Jocko?
Denine had lots of friends and enemies.
Yeah, one of them's Jake Fidello.
He's number one on the list. Denine had a brawl with Fidello 2 years ago. Jake promised to square the beef.
He's in a bad spot for it now.
Maybe. Denine has no safety deposit box.
Oh, that was my out.
Perhaps you can take up folk dancing in prison. I'll send you diagrams of new steps from time to time. Fidello has a safety deposit box, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a lot of money floating around somewhere.
Well.
And a lot of women doing the same thing.
We're getting a better shuffle now. Is the girl's name Freddie Sims?
That's right. Fidello loves her like the last 15 minutes of life. That's why he won't like it.
Get to the point, huh?
She's supposed to be waiting for him, but she's got married in Mexico to a guy named Mike Trevor, Fidello's best friend. Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't. Suppose Jake's found out about his sweetheart and best friend. Why would he kill Denine?
I don't know, except you'll find out, Patsy, that sometimes the difference between your best friend and your worst enemy is only a matter of opportunity.
Yeah, Novak talking.
How's the dent in your forehead?
Oh, you get around, Hellman.
Yeah, we picked her up at your apartment.
She tell you about that key?
A little. She made a confession, too.
She's generous.
Not to Mike Trevor. She pinned the whole thing on him and signed a statement. We're going to have to pick him up now. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Why?
In case he wants to shoot somebody, I'm offering you.
Things were moving fast now. I sent Jocko down to start repair work on the boat, and Hellman picked me up 5 minutes later. We drove out Geary and turned on Van Ness. Oh, Hellman was real subtle. He stopped right in front of the rooming house where Mike Trevor was living. The girl had mapped it out for him. Trevor was in a first-floor room. It was a quiet neighborhood. But as we opened the front door and started in, I got the idea it was going to be a tough place to get any sleep for the next few minutes.
Down on the right side here. Stay ahead of me, Novak.
You're one copper who will die in bed, Hellman.
Down the hall and be quiet. Yeah, this is it.
On this lap, you go first.
Stand back while I throw it open.
And empty, Hellman.
Girl said he was here. What's that?
Your boy's up at the top of the stairs.
You see him?
Oh, he's not wearing neon pants. Go up and get him.
Come on down, Trevor. Your girl talks. Come on down and sign a confession.
I've got a better idea, Copper. You come up and hand me the pen.
All right, Novak.
Move over, Hellman. He's going to argue.
He's heading for the roof. Let's go.
Hold it, Hellman. If that door up there is locked, we'll run right through the barrel.
You get one more chance, Trevor. Come on down.
That roof door's locked.
All right, Copper, I'm coming down. Make a hole.
Now you got your hole, Trevor.
Yeah. Novak, you better get to that safety deposit box. Get there in a hurry. Before the girl.
Well, the city will lose him now, Hellman. Let's get to that safety deposit box.
Let her have the key. What do you care, Novak? She's Fidello's girl.
No. There's a queer twist here somewhere. How do you know what's in that box?
So Fidello's in love with the girl. He's grateful. What do you care?
That's what makes it good. That's the way it is with love and gratitude. The love goes on, Hellman, but the gratitude changes. Well, the way things stood, there was only one place that key could be. I got to a phone and called Jocko. I told him to check out on the boat for a key somewhere on the floorboards. Jocko seemed happy when he said that some girl had come by 15 minutes ago and nosed around the boat for a while. Well, Hellman and I rushed down to the bank. When we got downstairs, Freddie was just starting into the vault.
Hello, Patsy. You look rested.
If you're on your way to that deposit box, you better think it over.
Can he stop me, Copper?
No, but we can hold the dough until we check with Fidello.
Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to like it.
Oh, we'll have to see. I'll be back in a moment.
Let's go, Novak. We can hold the dough upstairs.
Well, let's hang around. I just want to see 18-karat greed when she opens that box. There's the gratitude, Hellman.
Well, Patsy, I got the key, huh?
Well, you got everything, huh?
How about tonight? I happened to win.
He beat you over the line by 20 minutes.
Well, that's the next. Let me know.
I'll try again. Because you don't rate him nicely. You're not worth anything Fidello ever had.
It's part of argument. I couldn't finish him.
I was wrong about one thing, Lisa. When I said Fidello wouldn't like this. I think he will.
Yeah. He was a key.
Fidello was a thorough guy. The way he told out, but the right inning. Fidello found out about the girl and Mike Trevor, so he pulled a switch. He hired his enemy, Joe Denine, to do the job. Denine planted the bomb in the safety deposit box, and just to prove it was a square pitch, Fidello gave Denine was supposed to kill the girl and leave the key for Mike to blow his head off. And just to make it clean, Fidello got in touch with him and told him to look up Denine if anything happened to the girl. That way, he figured to knock up all three of them. But Mike jumped the gun. He started tailing Denine and shot him up out on the bay. He followed him to my place and killed him with the gun Denine was carrying. Denine came across, but he called the girl and told her there was a lot of money in that safety deposit box. Sharply big. But he told the girl finally double-crossed Mike Trevor and turned him in. Trevor killed those two guys on the pier. He lost Denine in the fog. And when he drove up, a couple of jumpers along got scared. The question, what could that girl have said to Jocko to make him let her walk in and breeze out with that key? I mentioned that to Jocko, but he just smiled.
It brought you Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is directed and produced by William P. Rousseau. Jocko Madigan is played by Tudor Owen. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and in our cast were Vaughn Patey, Paul Avery, Farley Bear, and Herb Ellis. This program is being released to our worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is George Fenneman inviting you to be with us again next week, when over most of these same ABC stations will bring you Pat Novak For Hire. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You've just completed an investigation on an East Los Angeles murder case. You get a hotshot call. A shooting in a liquor store on Pico Boulevard. Your job? Check it out.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, You will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 16th. It was cool in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We were on our way back from the interrogation room, and it was 8:46 p.m. when we got to room 42. Homicide.
You think he'll cop out?
I don't know. Probably won't make much difference anyway.
Yeah. Mel keeping the gun, that was his big mistake.
Yeah.
Wonder why she gave him the chance.
What do you mean?
Well, he'd beaten her a couple of times before, and neighbors all said so.
Yeah.
You'd think she'd have walked out on him.
And that's what she was trying to do.
Well, she should have tried sooner. You got any plans for dinner?
No, not especially. Why?
Well, I guess I'll grab a bite with you. Faye said she's not going to want any dinner. She'll fix something for the kids and told me to eat downtown.
Well, that's a switch, isn't it?
Sure is. Tell you the truth, Joe, she's kind of sore at me. This is her way of getting even.
Is that so?
Yeah. Woman expects a man to remember everything. Let him slip up just once, it's the end of the world.
Is that right?
Birthdays, anniversaries, Mother's Day, Christmas, Lincoln's birth, everything.
What'd you forget this time?
Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I knew there was something eating her when I got home that night. She didn't say a word until the next morning. Then she hands me a tie. Stripes like that brown and red one from last Christmas, only this one is maroon and gray.
Yeah.
Said she didn't want to give it to me on Valentine's Day because she knew how embarrassed I'd be. You know, on account of not having a present for her.
Well, why don't you get her some flowers or some candy? You can make up for it.
She told me not to, Joe. Said she didn't want anything unless I thought of it myself and on the right day. See, you don't understand women, Joe. You can't make up for a mistake. They won't let you.
Hot shot, I got it.
For us?
Liquor store out in Pico.
Yeah?
Dead body. We drove out to the Evandale liquor store on West Pico Boulevard. The owner, Cecil Evandale, was lying on the floor behind the counter. He'd been shot to the chest, and he was already dead when the body was discovered. A team from robbery detail and Sergeant J. Allen and a crew from the crime lab arrived a few minutes after we did. They began their investigation, and we talked to the patrol car officers who found Evandale's body.
We were just cruising by, and we saw the front door standing wide open. No sign of Evandale, so we thought maybe we ought to look around.
Yeah.
Came inside, gave the place a once-over, spotted him just like he is now.
You're sure he's the man who owned the store, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's Evandale, all right.
He's had trouble before.
How's that?
A couple of boys held him up, must be about a month ago now. We answered the call.
I see.
Yeah, picked up the same night. Evandale had their license number.
You got a conviction?
First-degree robbery.
Well, it can't be them if they're in the joint.
I'll check on it, Joe.
Right.
There was another hold-up. They didn't get away with much.
Oh?
Cash register was open when we came in. Still full. $50, $75. That's my guess.
Well, maybe something scared them off.
The street was empty. No cars, nobody.
Funny they left all that money just lying there in the drawer.
That's not the only funny thing around here.
What you got, Jay?
Found the casing. Take a look.
Mm-hmm. It's 38, huh?
Yeah. Slug went right through him, in his chest out the back, right through, clean as a whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Sure got me, Buffalo.
What do you mean?
The slug.
Yeah?
Can't find a trace of it.
Frank came back from the telephone with the information that the two men who had previously robbed the Evandale liquor store were now serving their sentences in San Quentin. While Sergeant J. Allen and the crew from the crime lab continued to search for the missing slug and any other physical evidence, we canvassed the area for somebody who might have heard the shooting. 9:53 p.m. We found a drugstore in the next block that was still open for business.
Fountain's closed. That's what we're after.
No, sir, we'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Talk? What about?
We're police officers. It's Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Police, huh?
That's right.
Thought I heard sirens a while back. What's been going on around here?
Well, there was some trouble at the liquor store down the street.
Cease Evandale's place?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have let it happen.
Beg your pardon?
You're police officers, ain't you?
Yes, sir, we are.
He was robbed just a few weeks ago. You should have figured somebody'd try it again. You should have been watching him, making sure he was all right.
Well, it's a pretty big town, sir. There's a lot to watch.
Too big, if you ask me. Why don't they go home?
What's that?
All them folks who keep moving to L.A. 25 years ago, I come here. Things were a lot different then. Man could drive down the streets, find a place to park his car. There was room to move around in. Elbow room.
Mm-hmm.
More people coming all the time. Getting so crowded a man can't breathe.
Yes, sir.
You see anybody who might have done the shooting?
Tonight, you mean?
Yes, sir. Anybody suspicious?
Nobody suspicious come in here. Not since I got back from supper, leastways.
When was that?
7:30. Right around in there.
Uh-huh.
Don't think I've had more than a half a dozen customers since supper time. Miss Jacobs, her youngsters got the croup, sold her some cough syrup. Ought to relieve it some. Then there was a couple of boys, bought Cokes, read magazines.
Well, how old were they?
10, 12, just shavers.
Uh-huh.
Fella come in for a carton of cigarettes. Don't know his name, but he lives around here somewheres. Been in a half dozen times before. Don't recall anybody else.
Well, how about out on the street?
Hmm?
Did anybody walk by or hang around who doesn't belong in the neighborhood?
How the heck would I know? You can't even see the street from in here when it gets dark.
Yes, sir.
Black as pitch out there. Been after 'em for the last 5 years to put up a street lamp. Been begging 'em. What do they do? Just raise my taxes and spend the money on freeways and gadgets so's more strangers will come flooding in on us. Whole darn shooting could have took place right there on my sidewalk. I wouldn't have been able to see it.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks anyway.
I say, wait a minute. Come to think of it, I did spot a couple of fellas. Acted kind of funny, too, like they didn't want me to see 'em. You know what I mean?
I think so.
It was then when I was walking home to supper. No, it was when I was on my way back.
That'd be about 7:30?
Give or take a couple of minutes. Well, they were just standing there in the doorway, kind of. Turned their backs toward me as I walked past them.
Could you describe them for us?
I said they turned their backs.
Yes, sir.
Not that it made no never mind. It's so darn dark out there, I couldn't describe them if they'd been coming at me head on.
Uh-huh. You got any idea how tall they were?
Medium height, I guess.
How were they dressed?
Didn't notice. Except for one of them.
Yes, sir.
Jacket he was wearing. Notice that. Remember thinking it was so loud you could see it in the dark. Kind of plaid. You know big crisscrosses?
Mm-hmm. What color was it?
Must have been light. Some kind of light color. Tan, maybe with green in it. Not sure.
Now, is there anything else you can tell us about these two men?
I think I've done pretty good to give you that much.
Yes, sir, you have. Thank you.
I'm not saying they had anything to do with shooting Cease Evansdale. You understand?
Yeah, we understand.
It's up to you to find out who did it and bring them to justice.
Yes, sir.
Don't know what's getting into this town. Man ain't safe in his own store. More crime all the time. More criminals. Wasn't like this 25 years ago.
Maybe not.
Why should there be more now?
Well, you gave us the reason.
Huh?
More people. $11:36 p.m. We went back to the liquor store. The body had been moved to the county morgue. Jay Allen told us that he and his crew had searched the walls, the floor, and the furniture. There was no physical evidence and still no trace of the slug that had killed Cecil Evandale. The next morning, February 17th, we again returned to the neighborhood and questioned shopkeepers in the vicinity. None of them had any leads. 12:05 p.m., we went back to the office.
Well, I guess you were right, Joe.
What about?
Faye, when I got home last night, she was expecting candy or flowers or something.
Well, I thought she told you not to buy her anything.
Yeah, but that didn't keep her from being disappointed when she didn't get anything.
Oh, what'd she say?
She didn't say. She just looked.
I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yes, that's right. No, we're on that. When? I see. Might tie in, yeah. Give me the address. Okay, right. Thank you. Office just got a report from a clinic out on Wilshire. A man came in to see him this morning.
Yeah?
Had a .38 slug in his chest. We drove out to a small medical center a few blocks west of Vermont Avenue, and we went into the offices of Dr. J.Y. Springer.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon. Dr. Springer in?
Do you have an appointment?
The police officers.
Oh.
The doctor busy?
Well, he does have a patient with him right now.
I see. We'll wait.
I'll tell him you're here. I'm sure it won't be long.
Thank you. Might as well sit down.
Yeah. You think we're on the right track, Joe?
I don't know. That slug isn't in the liquor store, that's for sure. Jay says there isn't a mark on the walls.
Yeah. Sure had to hit something.
Or somebody.
Yeah. You want a magazine?
No, thanks.
That's funny.
What?
It's a brand new issue. See right here? February.
Mm-hmm.
New magazine in the doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What's the matter?
It's a medical journal.
The doctor will see you now.
Thank you.
In here.
Thank you.
Dr. Springer?
That's right.
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I understand you took a bullet out of a man's chest this morning.
Oh, that.
Mind telling us about it?
No, not a bit. Young man came into the office. Must have been around 10 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
He told me that he and a friend had been looking at some guns last night. One of them went off accidentally. I examined the wound. It was quite superficial. The bullet had barely penetrated the skin.
Mm-hmm.
I removed it, put on a bandage. That's all there was to it.
I see.
Very superficial. Didn't even need instruments. He could have squeezed it out himself if he'd tried.
Was he a regular patient of yours, Doctor?
No, I'd never seen him before. He said he was just passing through L.A.
Could you describe him for us?
Well, he was in his late teens or early 20s. Dark hair, stocky, weighed about 170, I judge.
How tall?
5'7", 5'8".
Mm-hmm. Any distinguishing marks or scars that you recall?
No, nothing like that.
How was he dressed?
Slacks, sport shirt, loud jacket.
Loud?
Yes, a plaid of some sort, green and brown. The shirt was open at the collar, no tie.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you called in, you reported that his name was Clyde Beaton?
That's right.
You think it might be his real name, Doctor?
I'm sure of it.
Oh.
You have to be very careful whenever you treat a bullet wound. I always ask for identification.
Yes, sir. It's a good idea.
The young fellow was a little embarrassed at first. He didn't have any.
No driver's license?
It was in his other suit. I told him he'd have to stay here until I could contact the police.
What did he do then?
He fished through his pockets, found a letter he'd recently received. I took the name from the envelope, Clyde Beaton. Seemed sufficient identification under the circumstances.
Did you get Beaton's address?
He said he was staying at the Crown Prince Hotel on Sunset.
Is that what the letter said?
I'm afraid I don't remember. It was the name I was chiefly interested in.
I understand.
Did you keep the slug, Doctor? The bullet you took out of his chest?
No, I'm afraid not. He wanted it for a souvenir.
Well, your report said it was a .38.
That's right, .38 caliber.
You sure of that?
I've handled guns all my life. It's a hobby.
I see.
Is this a serious matter, Sergeant?
I'm afraid we don't know yet.
The wound was very superficial.
Yes, sir.
I remember telling him how lucky he was that the bullet hadn't gone in deeper.
Well, he could have been luckier.
How's that?
If it hadn't hit him at all. We drove over to the Crown Prince Hotel. They told us that no one by the name of Clyde Beaton had been registered during the past month. They also told us that they had no guests who answered the suspect's description. We checked the name through R&I. They had nothing on them. We also checked the telephone books, city directories. We came up with 2 Clyde Beatons. The first one was an elderly man who lived on Highland Avenue. We interviewed him and learned that he suffered from arthritis and had been bedridden for the past 2 years. He had no living relatives except for a daughter who kept house for him. The second Clyde Beaton lived on Washington Boulevard. We drove out to the address. It was a 2-story brick and stucco apartment house.
Yes?
Mr. Beaton in?
No, he isn't.
You know where we can find him?
What for?
We're police officers.
What?
Miss Frank Smith, my name's Friday.
Are you Mrs. Beaton?
Yes.
This is Clyde Beaton.
That's right.
Could you tell us where your husband is, please?
Well, he's not here.
Yes, ma'am. Where is he?
Chicago.
Oh.
He's been there since last Friday.
You sure of that?
What's this all about?
Police business.
Do you mind if we come in for a minute?
Well, no, I guess not. You can't talk very loud. The baby's asleep.
Yes, ma'am.
You say your husband's in Chicago?
Since last Friday.
Business trip?
Oh, in a way. He's a plastic salesman. Company's having a convention.
I see.
He did a bigger gross last year than any other West Coast representative, and that's why they picked him to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite an honor. He's only been with him a couple of years, practically the youngest man in the force.
Yes, ma'am.
He even had a dinner last night. Gave him a plaque.
Last night?
He called me afterwards. Long distance.
From Chicago.
Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am. Does your husband have a gun, Miss Beaton?
What?
A pistol or a revolver?
Well,
Well, does he, Miss Beaton?
Yes, he has a gun.
You take it with him?
No, of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he take a gun to Chicago?
Would you get it for us, please?
Oh, it's in the bedroom. Bureau drawer. The baby's there.
We'd like to see it, Miss Beaton.
All right.
Well, the convention in Chicago should be easy to check.
Yeah, too easy. What if the guy was setting up an alibi? He'd pick something tougher to crack, wouldn't he?
You think we've struck out?
Could be.
I'm sorry.
Ma'am?
Well, the gun isn't there.
Oh?
I looked all through the bureau. I don't know what could have happened to it.
Well, maybe your husband did take it with him.
I packed all his things. He couldn't have.
I see.
Well, we've always kept it in the top drawer where it'd be handy.
Mm-hmm.
You know where your husband's staying, Miss Beaton?
The Waterfield Hotel. I've never been in Chicago, but it's right downtown someplace.
What's the name of the company he works for?
Federated Plastics. Can't you tell me why you're asking all these questions?
We'd just like to get in touch with him.
What about?
Do you have a picture we can take with us?
Of Clyde?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I suppose so, but I'd like to know why. Is he in any trouble?
Not if he's been in Chicago for the last few days.
Of course that's where he's been. I talked to him just last night.
We have the picture now?
Let's see what I can find. I think there are a couple of snapshots in the desk. Would that be all right?
Yes, ma'am. Be fine.
When's your husband due back?
Day after tomorrow.
Is he flying?
Mm-hmm. I don't know which flight, though. He said he'd send me a telegram. Here's a picture. Took it last summer on our vacation up in Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Tim's in it, too. Will that make any difference?
No, it's perfectly all right.
That's Clyde, sitting on the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the plaid coat.
We took the picture with us, and we stopped by Dr. Springer's clinic. His nurse told us he was operating at St. Thomas Hospital. She said she'd call as soon as he was free. We went back to the office, and we sent a teletype to the Chicago PD requesting information about Clyde Beaton, supposedly registered at the Waterfield Hotel. 2 hours later, at 5:43 p.m., Chicago reported that a man answering Beaton's description and using his name was staying at the Waterfield. They also confirmed the fact that he'd attended a convention dinner the previous evening.
He sure comes up looking good.
Sure does.
Do we check him out?
Well, we better talk to him when he gets back in town, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Homicide, Friday. Yes, ma'am. How long will he be there? I see. Would you ask him to wait, please? Right away. Thank you. Doctor's back in his office.
You still want to show him this picture?
So far, it looks like we're 100% wrong.
Yeah.
Can't get any worse. We drove out to Dr. Springer's office, and we showed him the snapshot of Clyde Beaton.
Mm-hmm. That's him.
You sure, Doctor?
No doubt about it. That's the young man I treated this morning.
His wife says he's in Chicago.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
He does fit your description.
Even the coat.
Coat?
Well, yes, sir. Isn't that the one you told us he was wearing? You see there? The plaid?
But he isn't wearing... Oh, I see what you mean.
What?
The other chap in the picture. Yes, I believe that is the same coat.
Wait, I don't follow you, Doctor.
This is the young man who had the bullet in his chest, the one standing up wearing the leather jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But when he came to see me this morning,
yes, sir,
he had on this other man's coat.
Dr. Springer was positive in his identification of Mrs. Beaton's brother. 7:28 p.m. We again interviewed Mrs. Beaton.
Oh, it's you again.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you want now?
Just a couple more questions.
You got me so nervous before, I just didn't know what to do. I had to telephone Clyde all the way to Chicago. Make sure he was all right.
We're sorry about that, ma'am.
It cost us a fortune in phone bills. He said the police back there had been bothering him, too. He couldn't imagine why.
We don't want to cause you any trouble.
Well, that doesn't help any.
Would you take another look at this picture, Miss Beaton?
What for? I gave it to you.
Yes, ma'am. You said that the other man was your brother. Is that right?
What about him?
What's his name, please?
Tim.
His last name?
Larkin. Tim Larkin.
Well, now, does the coat that your husband's wearing in the picture belong to him or to your brother?
It's Clyde's coat, of course. He's wearing it.
Is it in the house now?
No, I don't know where it is. Cleaner's, I guess. Wasn't here when I packed Clyde's bag last week.
Your brother live in L.A.?
Yes.
Where about?
Well, he lived with us until a few weeks ago, and then he and a friend of his took an apartment over on Bellwood Avenue.
You know the number?
261 West.
What's his friend's name?
Oh, it's Bill Dressingham. Went to college together.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Tim came to California to go to school. Our folks live back in South Dakota.
I see.
He did all right the first couple of years, but something happened last semester. He just sort of lost interest and quit school, both him and Bill. Got jobs and rented this apartment. I guess they're making good money. It's a very nice place.
Yeah.
It isn't Tim, is it?
Yeah.
Well, the reason you've been coming back and forth here all day.
We don't know yet.
Well, if anything's happened, it'll be my fault. I'm supposed to be responsible for Tim while he's in California, but the folks don't know he isn't going to school anymore. They think he's still living with us.
Mm-hmm.
He's the baby of the family. He just turned 21. Thought I'd wait until Mom and Dad realized he's a grown man. Then I'd tell him he's on his own. Thought I'd wait till then.
Maybe you waited too long. "9:15 p.m. We went over to the Bellwood address Mrs. Beaton had given us. We found a card on one of the doors with the names Beaton and Dressingham on it.
Yeah, who is it?
Open up.
Let a big McGilla.
All right, get your hands against the wall.
Huh?
Police officers, move. Turn around.
You okay? Come on, son. All right, he's not heavy, Joe.
All right, what's your name?
Tim Larkin.
Unbutton your shirt.
What for?
Your shirt, unbutton it.
Yes, sir.
Where'd you get that bandage?
I fell down.
Come on, where'd you get it?
Fell down, I said.
You see a doctor?
No.
How do you know it isn't serious?
It's getting better.
You didn't see a doctor?
No.
Well, we've got one we'd like you to see.
What are you talking about?
Dr. Springer.
Oh.
You ever hear of him?
I guess so.
Well?
We were just horsing around, Bill and me. Fooling with a gun.
Who's Bill?
Fellow I live with.
Go ahead.
Gun went off. Bullet caught me in the chest, that's all.
Where's the gun?
What difference does it make?
Where is it?
Closet.
All right, you stay put.
I'll check.
Where were you last night?
What time?
All of it.
Here.
All evening?
Yes, sir. Found it, Joe.
Well?
38. Found this, too.
This your coat, Larkin?
No.
Whose is it?
Brother-in-law's.
Who's the gun belong to?
Him?
Did he give it to you?
Borrowed it.
Borrow the coat, too, did you?
Yeah.
Where were you last night?
I said before, right here.
Been over on Pico lately?
No.
You sure of that?
I'm sure.
This coat was.
I don't know what you mean.
All right, come on, son. You might as well tell us.
Tell you what?
We got a shell casing.
Yeah?
From a 38. We found it in the liquor store last night.
So?
The owner was killed.
Lots of 38s around.
Be real easy to check your gun against the casing we found. Well?
Come on, Larkin. Guess you'll find out anyway.
All right, tell us.
I was there.
Evandale Liquor Store.
Yeah, me and Bill. We was going to hold up the joint, that's all. Just hold him up.
Go ahead.
Bill had the gun. I didn't have nothing to do with that part. He was holding the gun on the old geezer, and I went around behind to get at the cash register.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened. I don't know what. Maybe Bill was squeezing too hard on the trigger. Maybe he got scared. I don't know.
Yeah.
The gun went off. The old guy fell down. Same time I knew, I felt a little pain here in my chest. Bullet must have gone through him and hit me.
Yeah.
Bill got all panicky. Turned around and started running. I stuck right on his heels.
Where's Bill now?
Bar down the street. Went out for a beer. Is he carrying a gun? No, sir. This is the only one we got.
All right. Let's go.
Oh. You understand that I didn't have nothing to do with the shooting. You understand that, don't you? It was Bill that pulled the trigger. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I wasn't even involved.
Yeah, well, we don't see it that way.
Huh?
You ended up with a slug.
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 14th, trial was held in Department 93, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. William Seaton Dressingham and Timothy Wilkes Larkin were tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. The jury returned a recommendation of leniency, and the suspects are now serving life terms at the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California.
Dragnet. The story of your police force in action is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
My name is Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day and expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Too Many Mrs. Rogers.
7th Street, near Olive. That's where it stands, downtown L.A. Cosmopolitan building. A big chunk of granite poking its way up through a parking lot. That's where you'll find International Detective Bureau, Suite 308. A good bargain counter if you're shopping around for trouble. Anthony J. Lyon, the guy I work for, pays the rent. Can't be very much. Sunlight and those office walls have never said hello. The Cosmopolitan building. An air shaft runs right up the middle of it. Suite 308 is wrapped around that ventilator like a donut around a hole. Figures that the Weather Bureau ought to run a separate survey on that office. Because we get all the blow-by from the Acme Incense Company, 3 doors down the hall. Los Angeles smog had come in second best if they knew about it. Well, it was last Tuesday, the day that Cleveland won the pennant, that I walked in. The Lion was there pecking around on that same old Remington. Somebody'd broken the period key, but he didn't seem to mind. He talks in commas anyway. I don't know who he was writing to, but there were a couple of cereal box tops at his elbow and a contest blank. He was writing something about why I feed my children your breakfast food. The Lion's a bachelor.
Regan, who do you know in Battle Creek, Michigan?
Jack Armstrong.
I may win this contest. Here's one for you to fill in.
No, I don't eat breakfast.
This is different. I got it as a case. Here's the address. Hinkle and Hinkle.
Well, they make pills.
It's a funeral parlor, one of the best in town.
I'm healthy.
I want you to be very careful how you talk to these people.
Who, the customers?
Hinkle and Hinkle, father and son. They got a fine establishment, and all the best people go to them for the final right.
Well, I'm fresh out of Shroud.
They got problems, Hinkle and Hinkle have.
What's the trouble?
Hop over there and they'll tell you.
I'd rather get it from you.
Regan, I can't do that.
Why?
You've read our business card. Anything told to an international man is in the strictest confidence. I wrote that and won't double-cross a client.
Well, that's a new twist for you.
What do you mean?
Every day you dump these phony cases in my lap and I go out on them. All I do is play tag with homicide.
You won't get caught.
A lot of canned tuna felt that way.
You know I take care of you.
That's what I don't like.
Hinkle and Hinkle are expecting you right now.
Yeah.
Jump in your car and get over there.
What do I say to them?
Just say hello. They'll pick it up from there.
You know, someday I'm going to quit.
If you do, you'll starve.
So what?
You'll still wind up at Hinkle and Hinkle.
Well, the place was on Hope Street near Washington Boulevard. You couldn't miss it. A 2-story building painted a battleship gray that sort of crouched at the curb. It had a square pimple for a door and flanked on each side by a brass angel. They were a dirty green color. I figured that one of the Hinkles could have been a little more eager with the metal polish. The glass door was draped with white satin, and it fluttered as I walked in. The hall was quiet. There was enough marble inside to make the Bank of America jealous. Another angel, this time with the wings folded back, was pointing toward the reception room. I followed directions and moved on. It smelled like the bargain matinee at the Roxy. Over in one corner was a vase of tired-looking flowers, trying real hard not to be cheerful. A little guy in a black serge suit was floating around the room with an atomizer filled with perfume. The whole place was about as inviting as a maiden aunt's kiss. The little man didn't even look at me. He just kept squirting. He couldn't put the perfume people out of business, but I figured he had them working nights. Your name, Hinkle?
As soon as I finish.
Yeah, well, that might take months. That's a big bottle.
Don't you just adore this scent?
What's the matter? Aren't the flowers working?
They're paper. Now then, sir.
I asked first.
Yes, I am Jason Hinkle.
Aren't there 2 of you?
Gerald?
Did you call, Pa?
Just showing this man the other Hinkle.
Oh, hi.
Now then, I believe that you'll find we can make all the necessary arrangements.
Save the commercial. Nobody's dead.
Oh, that's too bad. This week we're having a special at a greatly reduced rate.
Well, I figure I got a few more years. Now, look, didn't you want to see me?
Oh, you from Atlas?
Who?
Atlas Casket Company. We have plenty on hand. Penicillin has practically ruined our business.
My name's Regan. I'm with International.
Oh, of course. You're the Lion's Eye. I'm glad you got here.
Well, tell me, and we'll both be happy.
Hey, Pa, he don't look so tough.
What you do, Buster, you scare me.
I'll bet I could break in the middle.
Never mind, Gerald. I'll have to apologize for him. He lifts weights.
He'd have to carry that head around.
Just say the word, Pa.
Gerald. Now, Mr. Regan, if you'll step in the back room.
All right.
I have to be careful about Gerald. He's just a junior partner.
He ought to be the silent one.
He didn't learn to talk till he was almost 9.
I pegged him for 6.
Drink, Mr. Regan.
No, thanks. I stopped drinking that stuff in 32.
Oh, you mean the formaldehyde label. Yes, I have to hide it from Gerald.
All right, now we've been through the family album. What's the job?
Do you know a Mrs. Rogers?
The phone book's full of them.
Mrs. Rogers has been most unfortunate. Poor dear woman, they were married such a short time, and they were ecstatically happy.
Her husband die?
Mm-hmm. She lost him 3 days ago. Hinkle and Tinkle are handling the last rites. Poor Mrs. Rogers. She's so young.
She want a shoulder to cry on?
Mrs. Rogers wished her husband taken to the family plot in La Jolla. We are finishing the limousine, and she's requested someone to accompany her.
I'll try a Pullman Porter. They like to travel.
This whole thing has most unusual aspects. Mrs. Rogers thinks she needs protection.
We could send Gerald.
She'd still need protection. No, Mr. Regan, she wants you.
She paying for this?
I believe Mr. Lyon has her check.
Okay. That all you got to tell me?
Mr. Regan, we only handle the dead.
Well, they don't need protection.
That's what they said about King Tut.
Hinkle gave me her address. It was over near Westlake Park. It was one of those new modern apartment houses painted an elephant pink. It was around 6 o'clock when I rang the bell. While I waited, I tried to figure this protection angle. I thought maybe I could talk her out of it and wind up the whole thing right here. I kind of figured that she was just upset and needed a man around. When she opened the door, I knew I was right. You could see she was in mourning. She was wearing black lipstick. She was tall and thin, with long blonde hair. She made Mr. Peabody's mermaid look like a beginner. Right then, I knew that this case was about as much on the level as the city of San Francisco. She needed protection, all right, but so did I. When she said hello, it melted all over you like honey on a hot biscuit.
You're standing in a draft.
Well, it's a warm night.
Well, come in.
You, Mrs. Rogers?
That's right.
My name's Regan.
The man from International. You're more than I paid for.
Well, prices are coming down.
Come over here where we can talk.
I got a big voice.
Well, sit down. You act like you're afraid of me.
Well, I didn't think it showed.
Oh, yes. You're just exactly what I wanted.
I used to be with an escort bureau.
Well, then this should be part of your service. I'll bet the bureau went broke when you quit.
No, but I left them in a hole.
Relax, Mr. Regan. It's early.
Now, look, lady, we can play musical chairs some other time. What do you want?
Why worry? You're getting paid.
Yeah, but this kind of stuff won't buy food.
I'm lonely.
Do your act in the Coliseum. It'll be a sellout.
You're practically a crowd.
That's what they say about 3.
No, it's just you and me.
With a dead man in between.
Never mind Victor. He's my problem.
Not anymore. Come on, lady. This is a fat blister. Let's break it.
Slow down, Mr. Regan.
Maybe that's what happened to Victor.
All right. If you don't want to play my game, let's play yours.
That's why you hired me.
You know about my husband's coffin?
Hinkle's having a sale.
It's in the next room now. The limousine will be here in the morning at 8 sharp. We're going to La Jolla.
Hinkle knows that much.
And that's all you need to know.
All I need or all I get. Light up, lady. I don't like the dark.
It's a simple job. You go with me on the trip.
Not enough.
All right, I'll give you a bonus.
How much?
$1,000.
It's just a whisper.
That's $10 a mile between here and La Jolla.
I get car sick. Now, what has to get there besides Victor?
A star sapphire as big as the moon.
That good?
Need sunglasses to look at it.
Well, why didn't you tell me?
I want that ring to get there on his finger.
Don't worry, I don't have a fence.
Victor's will said he must be buried with it on.
Oh, yeah, you got tears in your eyes.
That's what he wanted, and that's what he'll get. Other people know about that ring. Victor wouldn't want to lose it this late in the game.
I'm the nursemaid.
That's right. When I said I do to Victor in Yuma 1946, I promised him.
The trip to La Jolla?
I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8. Until then, get out.
That bonus still good?
If that ring gets to La Jolla?
I'll see that it does.
Aren't you afraid somebody might steal it?
No, Letty. You'll ride with me. Well, I began to get an uneasy feeling, like a steer on the way to Kansas City. I left Helen Rogers and walked outside. And there wasn't much traffic. It was a warm night, and all the canoes in Westlake Park were full. I headed for an all-night coffee spot on the corner. If I'd have taken one more step, I'd have been in the back seat of a new Nash convertible with the top down. There was a brunette with long black hair in the driver's seat. She was thin and figured to be tall the way she was wrapped around the wheel. There were two things different. She had bright red lipstick, and her hair was black. She was wearing a dress the color of a boulevard stop, and she flipped the right door open. One look at her, and you knew that Dallas was wrong about their women.
Want a lift, soldier?
No, I only got a weekend pass.
Plenty of time. You can go AWOL.
No, I'm bucking for sergeant.
Get in, and I'll tell you about the atomic bomb.
Short ride?
No, I think a long.
Okay, I'll buy the gas.
Won't have to, Mr. Regan. I've got a credit card.
Now, don't tell me you're lonely.
You're in trouble.
What kind?
Bad client.
Why?
You should be working for Mrs. Rogers.
That's who signed the check.
I'm Mrs. Rogers.
That blonde's got a license to prove it. Yuma, 1946.
I've got priority, Mexico City, 1942.
No divorce?
Victor was a poor Boy Scout. He could only tie one knot.
He went for the chorus line.
And played for keeps. And I loved him. Helen didn't.
How do I know?
I don't care if you do.
All right. What do you want with me?
I'm his wife, his first one, his real one. We had some sort of life together before the scenes changed. It's my job to bury him.
That all?
That's all.
The corkscrew. Straighten it out, sis.
I'm telling you the truth.
You left out one item. Tell me that sapphire's got nothing to do with the affection.
It hasn't.
That's what the other Miss Rogers said.
She's a liar.
A blonde one.
She'll run out of bleach.
You're trying too hard.
I'm telling you, Regan, I'm not going to sit by and do nothing.
I believe you. You're letting your fingernails grow. Well, the brunette's name turned out to be Catherine Rogers. She gave me her number, but I wasn't buying. I felt kind of confused, like a polar bear in Palm Springs. Catherine didn't have any more, so she let me off on a corner, and I doubled back to the first Mrs. Rogers' place. It was about 20 minutes later when I rang Helen's bell. No answer. The door was unlocked, so I went in. The room was dark, except for the neon sign outside the bedroom window. I could see Victor Rogers' coffin banked up with flowers. The biggest blossom was already wilted. It was Helen. She was lying on the floor, and her fire was out. Well, I went back to the living room to call homicide. Then I smelled taboo perfume. She made a real good reflection in the mirror behind me. This one was a redhead. She had long hair. She was tall and thin enough to slip under the door. She had a little hand, but her finger could reach the trigger of the gun that she had in my back. I couldn't tell too much about her, but if I'd known her in college, my homework would have suffered.
Don't make a date. You're not going to make it.
She'll wait.
It may be forever. Hang it up.
Did you do the job on the blonde?
Maybe.
Too many going for that sapphire.
Maybe.
Which one are you?
Rita.
Where'd he find you?
South America.
Different places, different girls.
That's it.
You'd make a good advance man for the United Nations.
Just the female department.
All right. When'd you win your letter?
Havana, 1944.
You're right in the middle.
No, you are.
Well, the Andrews sisters did all right.
I want to duet with you.
I'll sing off key.
That's all right. It's the style.
No music.
You're not listening hard enough.
Well, South America took it away. When I came out of it, I was all head like tapped beer in a cheap saloon. The room was full of homicide. I must have got a hotshot call because they were all there. All I could see was the seats of their pants. I picked out the shiniest pair, and I knew it was Sergeant Sanducci. He was standing over me with a notebook. The way he was sucking on that pencil, I figured he must have been a lollipop man in his youth. Everybody was there. All the newspapers. The fingerprint men were dusting everything. I had about as much chance as a Christmas tree salesman in July. Sanducci leaned into me.
Borderline anemia?
Oh.
Kind of tired?
Yeah.
Anybody would get tired lugging a heavy gun.
What gun?
This 38. It pushed a hole in that blonde.
That's not mine.
Who cares? The hand is yours. That's where we found it.
Hey, Sanducci, let me shoot a picture of the eye, will you?
Go ahead.
Look happy, Regan.
I got a bad smile.
Oh, we'll retouch it. Good. Now look like a killer.
That's enough.
Oh, come on. Let's see your teeth.
Beat it, punk, or you'll spend the rest of the night picking yours up.
How do you like that, strategy?
Okay, Regan. Now, why'd you do it?
You tell me.
I'm working on it.
You're out of your mind. I blow a hole in her, then crack myself in the head?
I'm working on that, too.
We're working a redhead named Rita Rogers.
I'm going steady.
She rapped me. It's her gun.
Your forehead is wet.
Work on a brunette named Catherine Rogers. She's grubbing around, too.
I told you I already got a date.
You couldn't see a frame in a picture gallery.
We walk in and find a warm blonde in a deep freeze. You're lying there with the murder gun in your hand and you're yelling Patsy. What were you doing here?
I was on a job. Out in Washington. They sent me over here. I was supposed to go to La Jolla with that blonde.
On Lion's time?
I said it was a job. She was taking her dead husband down to the family plot. She was worried about a sapphire ring. Look in the coffin, you'll see.
We already did.
Well, what'd you find?
Air. The coffin was empty.
You are listening to the story of the too many Mrs. Rogers, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. If you're a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. These commissions are still available, and those who meet the high standards and qualify with this fine organization may elect active or inactive status. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now back to the story of the too many Mrs. Rogers and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, I had about as much chance as a snowball in a Turkish bath. The Lion sends me to a funeral parlor run by two guys named Hinkle and Hinkle. They banked me off to a blonde, Mrs. Rogers, who wants protection taking her husband's body to La Jolla. He's being lowered with a star sapphire on his finger. Everybody's scrambling for it. But Victor Rogers was a collector of long-legged ladies, and the blonde turns out to be just a single in the crowd scene. There's two other Mrs. Rogers, a brunette and a redhead. You can't tell one from the other without a program. The next thing I know, the blonde is dead. I'm holding the murder gun, and an alibi is full of as many holes as a piece of cheesecloth. There's no star sapphire, no body in the coffin, and Sanducci of homicide is pounding away at me. Well, the police finished in the blonde's apartment. The prints were lifted, and the gun was wrapped. It was Sanducci all the way.
Come on, Regan. Say why.
You're pressing.
I just work hard.
You got nothing.
You'll be saying that in the chamber.
You're bluffing.
How do you figure?
The setup's so strong, even you can smell it.
I got silence.
Well, you're not taking me in.
Well, who said I was?
Let's see.
We'll be around for you when we're ready.
Retirement will set in first.
I'll sign for another hitch.
Look, if you got to keep beating your head against the wall, come over to my place.
What for?
It's brick. I left Sanducci still chewing his pencil and headed back for the office. I knew homicide wouldn't let the matter drop, so I wanted to see if maybe the Lion could do me any good. I didn't have any supper, but somehow I'd lost my appetite. When I walked in, the Lion was still working on that contest blank. He was keeping late hours, and the only reason he doesn't go to his hotel room is he gets a reduction in his weekly rate if he doesn't sleep in the bed.
Regan, where you been?
Dating Sanducci.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
How many times have I told you to watch that staff?
Well, you never check before you send a guy out on a job.
What have you got?
Well, she's beautiful.
What else?
She's dead.
That's no way to run a business.
You got your advance.
I was thinking of public relations.
Oh, stop it, will you? Somebody mentions dough and you're there with a basket.
That's enough. Let's drop this case.
Not until the wind dies down.
I got another job for you.
I'm still with the old one.
The case is closed.
Oh, I'm opening
You
it.
do as you're told.
Now, listen, big shot. You eased me in on that hook. Now, let's see you work backwards.
Regan, you're getting out of line.
Get a trace on Catherine and Rita Rogers.
Who are they?
A brunette and a redhead.
What else?
Victor Rogers' wives.
What about Helen?
His record broke on I Do.
We'll get going and clear this thing up.
Would you like to give it a whirl?
Regan, don't you like working for me?
I'll answer that when we both got more time. Well, I left the line, picked up a cup of coffee and a sandwich, and went home. Then I tried to figure the mess. A guy with 3 wives drops dead and is going to be buried with a fortune on his finger. All the hens start clawing around. That figures. One of them gets the axe. I happen him. A setup for a patsy. That figures. But what doesn't is why is the coffin empty? Somebody pulls a knockoff to grab a sapphire and takes the stiff with it. Oh, I was getting nowhere, like a pickpocket in a nudist colony. The next morning, I was back on Embalmer's Row, Hinkle and Hinkle. I went inside. The little guy in the black suit and his son were standing in the entrance hall. Old Hinkle came toward me kind of slow, like an ant with a super chief in tow.
You're back so soon, Regan. Everything all right at Mrs. Rogers?
Your business is picking up.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. You fill it in.
Now, there's no use taking that belligerent attitude.
Now, listen, you. I played patsy long enough.
Hey, Pa, shall I mash him?
You heard Gerald, Regan. Now get your paws off of me quick.
Oh, we're backstage now. Your grease paint's off.
I don't know why you came back here. We don't know anything about it.
That's your version.
Look, Regan, I'm going to try to let you down easy, so pay attention. You were called on a routine job. We played our part, now you play yours. Take that trip to La Jolla.
We're going to need a bigger car now.
I told you all I know. Now beat it.
Homicide wants somebody. I'm going to give him you.
You're on a treadmill.
That's all right. It's slowing down.
I'm tired of this small talk, Regan. Now get out of here before I sick Gerald on you.
Is that all you got to offer?
That's it. Now blow.
Okay. Next time I'll bring homicide.
Just won't give up, will you? Gerald?
Yeah. How do you want him, Pa? Broken, too?
You handle it. I'll be in the back room.
Fist or gun butt, Pa? Hold
butt.
still. You should be glad Pa didn't say fist. It's harder. See? Oh. I dreamed about you last night, Regan.
Must have been something you ate.
I dreamed I broke you in two.
You're still walking in your sleep.
You say funny things, Regan, but your face don't go with it.
Get away from me, you big ape.
I seen a clown in a circus once. He had a big red nose like this. Oh. And he didn't have no teeth. And he had little teensy eyes way back in his head. Oh. Yeah, you make a swell clown now.
I was getting nowhere, like a skyrider in a high wind. Gerald must have got tired. He stood over me grinning like a Notre Dame gargoyle. I tried to get up a couple of times, but it would have been easier to get to Ohio on a pogo stick. I kept wondering if he'd ever quit when the front door opened and Catherine, the brunette Mrs. Rogers, came in. She had a .32 in her hand and she leveled it at Gerald.
Stop it!
We're going to the circus.
Stop it or I'll kill you!
All right.
You heard her.
What about the circus?
Come here, you. There ought to be a place for you in the sideshow.
I got tired waiting for you to come to me.
Yeah, thanks.
Shall we go where we can talk?
What do you want?
You.
So did Junior here.
My hands are softer.
Your gun isn't.
You can hold it.
It's not good enough.
Still don't trust me?
No.
We'll go in your car.
Oh, it gets better.
We'll go to your place.
Okay.
You won't be sorry.
Why?
Because I'm going to help you, Rick.
You just did, lady. We left Hinkle and Hinkle and drove up Washington to Vermont and then north toward Hollywood. Above Beverly, we had to detour for the freeway coming and it made me kind of mad. I'd been detouring since the beginning. Well, she didn't say much, and I tried to figure. The last time I saw her, she gave me a choke act about being the only one who ever loved Victor. And the next thing I knew, I was set up like pins in a bowling alley, and Sanducci was going for 300. We pulled to a stop in front of my place and went in. Inside, there was company. She wasn't invited. But the red-headed Rita, the South American bombshell, was lying on my bed. Somebody had set her off. She was dead. This the kind of help you mean?
I didn't know she was here.
Oh, come off it. You're not Bergman.
I didn't.
She's past convincing.
I'm talking to you.
So am I.
Regan.
No go, lady. You knocked her off, got me over here, worked the gun into my hand.
No.
You did the first job, too. You let me out of your car, doubled back to Helen's before I got there and fogged her.
No, you're wrong.
Right me.
I did double back to Helen's apartment and got there before you.
Looking for that sapphire.
Looking for a showdown on Vic's burial. It was my job.
You said that before.
We argued.
Pulling hair.
I didn't touch her.
Go on.
When I left, Rita was coming up the stairs. She didn't see me. I stepped into the shadows and watched her go into Helen's apartment. They began screaming. I looked in and saw Rita kill her. Then I heard someone coming and ran.
That'd be me, huh?
Yes.
Moving in to play Patsy.
And I heard the police thought you did it.
That's right.
So I looked for you.
Tell that to homicide.
I will.
You make it sound good.
It is.
Cleans up one, but you're not through.
Why?
It's a double-header. Who killed Rita?
I don't know.
What happened to the sapphire?
I don't know.
Where's Victor's body?
What do you mean?
It's not in the box. Oh, sure. Wind it up and make it good.
I don't know.
The wrong pick.
You still don't trust me.
Not until you clean up the rest, no.
She can't, Regan. I've got the broom. Nice of you to remember, Catherine.
How do you remember?
I got a card file.
You can throw away some pages.
That's what I figured. I've been tagging after the two of you for some time.
So you're Victor. Well, it's beginning to clear. You got Hinkle to help you play dead.
Tell me why.
You tell me.
I'm moving up in society. I have to unload.
Oh, yeah, it all figures. You're dead, the wives start working for the loot. In the scramble, they take care of each other. The redhead gets the blonde. You get the redhead.
And take care of what's left. Now, let's close the book.
Victor's aim was good. Catherine went down. Sanducci got Victor from the bedroom window. His sapphire ring caught the light as he sprawled on the floor. And then Sanducci climbed in off the fire escape. Catherine's hair was still long, but she wasn't tall anymore.
Regan.
Yeah, baby.
Victor.
He's through.
He was no good.
Yeah.
But I loved him.
Uh-huh.
We should have met sooner. So long, soldier.
That's it, Regan.
Yeah.
She seemed like a nice kid.
Yeah. It's going to be a long trip, but she'll make it. Well, that was it. Victor was ambitious. He was moving up in society and couldn't stand a bigamy scandal. His brain worked overtime cooking up that dish. He rigged it with the blonde Helen at first, but she got it right off from the redhead, and that didn't make him cry. Took care of one. When the redhead came over to my place, Victor tagged her and put her away there. 2 down, and I'm the fall guy. Then he waited for the brunette so he could finish the game. Oh, yeah. Vic was a busy fella, but he ran out of breath. Well, Sanducci put my place back in order, and nothing was left of the girls with the long hair but dandruff. I called the lion. He was mad. A whole day shot without adding a mark to his bank account. Well, Sanducci and I both came up with the same question. All 3 of those women were beautiful. I wonder if they'd all gone for Victor if they really knew. That star sapphire was a phony.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan, with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. Jeff Regan, Investigator, written by Larry Roman and D. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy, is heard each week at this time over CBS. Tonight's cast included Grace Leonard, Gloria Blondell, Laurette Philbrandt, John Hoyt, Jack Petrucci, Paul Frees, and David Ellis. If you're a graduate registered nurse, please listen carefully to this important message. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. For the first time in history, qualified nurses have the opportunity of receiving commissions in the regular Army Reserve. These nurses will remain on inactive status, ready to serve their country in time of emergency. For further information, drop a card to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a narcotics detail. A steady flow of drugs is coming into your city. The prime buyers are juveniles. Weeks of effort fail to turn up any lead to the source. Your job? Find it.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, January 10th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of narcotics detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Wallers. My name's Friday. We were on our way back from the cell block, and it was 9:47 a.m. when we got to the interview room. Felony section.
Sit down there.
All right, Morley, you want to tell us?
About what?
Why you're here.
It's on the booking slip. You saw it.
We'd like to hear it from you.
No go.
You won't tell us.
I'd like to, but I can't.
All right, let's go over it again.
From where?
The beginning.
Where were you picked up?
Corner 5th and Main.
For what?
Cop said I had a handful of pot.
Did you?
Well, he found it, said it was mine.
But it wasn't.
No.
Where'd it come from?
I don't know.
How much you turned?
A couple of joints.
And you don't know where it came from?
You heard it once.
Morley, you think that story's going to hold in court?
I got to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, why don't you start?
Okay, you win. Get your notebook out.
Go ahead.
I just got out of the movie, triple feature. Spent the whole afternoon in the place. Time I left, it was dark. I walked up to the corner trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy come down the street, running fast. He came right at me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to bang into me the way he was running, not looking where he was going.
Yeah.
Now, get the picture. I'm standing there minding my own business, and here comes this fella, perfect stranger. I never saw him before in my whole life. He runs right up to me, and he gives me a package. He just hands it to me and says, hang on to this. I'll be right back. After that, he left.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, a car pulls up, 2 cops get out. I got a chain on. I'm brought in here.
That's the way it happened.
That's right.
You didn't know anything about what the guy was giving you?
No.
You like to tell us what this fellow looked like?
You mean the one who gave me the package?
That's it.
He's a tall one.
Mm-hmm.
About 12'2".
Mm-hmm.
Pure green hair. He wore it in kind of a crew cut. You know, short?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have any trouble picking up a guy like that.
You think you're doing yourself any good with this kind of an attitude?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to give you the story.
All right, Morley, you just pulled the top in. We got you made and you know it. Officer shook down your house this morning. We found a couple of pounds of manicured Mary over 56. We don't need your word to nail you. You've already had it.
Then why are you rousting me now?
We want to know where it came from.
I buy it from a fellow.
The one 12 feet tall.
That's right.
Let me see your arms, Morley.
What?
Come on. You've been this way. Roll up your sleeves. All right, now the other one. How long you been off?
Boy, somebody tell me what's going on around here. This place is full of crackpots.
You got a question hanging, Morley.
Well, the answer ain't here.
You know where to find it.
All right, I'll lay it out. I bought the grass. I bought it from a couple fellas I know.
Who are they?
You've had it.
Only part way.
Well, that's as far as I go.
You afraid of them?
I'm not afraid of anybody.
Then why not give us the names?
I wouldn't be able to find a place on the street.
We'll build a wall around you.
No, they get through.
We'll be in front of you.
Well, you'll get hurt.
Why won't you tell us where your marijuana connection is?
I won't be a finger.
They're pretty good friends, aren't they?
Huh?
These men you're protecting, they think a lot of you, don't they?
I guess so.
So much that they'll let you sit here while they're on the outside.
I'll get out.
It'll be a while.
Yeah, but when I do, I'll stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to walk around, look them in the face.
Sure you will.
They'll know what I did. I carried the beef. They'll know.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't look too close. You'll see them laughing at you. Kenneth Harris Morley was returned to his cell and held to answer charges of violation of the State Narcotic Act, a felony. Frank and I went back to the office, no closer to the source of marijuana that had been flooding the city. In the past 3 months, juvenile crime had risen sharply. Neighborhood merchants were reporting burglaries and acts of vandalism attributed to teenagers. In talking to some of the youngsters, we found that most of the crimes were the result of tea parties. We'd been working with the narcotic detail of Juvenile Division, but even by pooling our knowledge of the drug traffic in Los Angeles, we'd been unable to come up with a head person in the operation. Arrests had taken place, but none of the people apprehended could or would tell us who was running the campaign. Known peddlers were questioned. Informants were checked and rechecked. But when all of the work was evaluated, we were right back where we'd started. Monday, 12:15 p.m., we met with Captain Walters and filled him in on the latest developments. 1:42 p.m.
That's right, Mac. Yeah. Well, we talked to him. No, he wouldn't give us time of day. Oh, sure he knows. Yeah. Well, at least a step up, but it'd be something. Uh-huh. Well, the only thing we can figure is the gun has got all the boys lined up and they're scared. Mm-hmm. Well, until we find a way to open them up, we're going to stay there. Yeah. Yeah. If we turn anything, we'll let you know. Right. Bye. McTeague, Georgia Street.
Mm-hmm. They do any good?
No, they knocked over another plant last night.
Where?
Out in the valley. Guys selling drive-in style.
Mm-hmm.
Customers pull in the driveway, honk the horn. A couple of minutes later, the pusher comes out and makes a sale.
You said anything?
No. They talked to him for a couple hours. Won't even admit he's in California.
How's he explain the plan?
Doesn't try to. Says the weed's his, just won't tell where it comes from.
Yeah, another dead end.
Yeah. I'm beginning to think we've seen everyone in town.
I get it. Narcotics Friday. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I remember. Is that right? Mm-hmm. You name it. Well, it's 1:45 now. How's 15 minutes? I will see you there. What's that? Smith, my partner, you know him. All right, see you there. Right.
What do you got?
Remember Hugo Kenley?
Kenley?
A mule we talked to last year on the Redford thing?
Oh, yeah, little guy, kind of nervous.
That's right.
What about him?
Says he wants to see us.
Yeah?
He's got info on some heroin that's coming into the country.
From where?
European stuff.
Uh-huh.
3 kilos, over 6 pounds. Frank and I left the office and drove out to see Hugo Kenley. A year prior, he'd been instrumental in aiding us with the apprehension of the gang bringing heroin in from Mexico. Because of his cooperation, he'd been placed on probation, and neither of us had seen him since. On the telephone, he said he'd meet us in a small restaurant down on Spring Street. When Frank and I entered the place, we saw Kenley in one of the rear booths.
Back there.
Hi, Mr. Friday.
Hugo, you know Frank Smith.
Sure. How are you, Mr. Smith?
Hi, Kenley.
All right, Hugo, what do you got for us?
You gotta promise one thing.
What's that?
I'm a mile away.
All right, if that's the way you want it.
Well, it's gotta be.
All right, go ahead.
The way it came to me was a rumble, nothing for sure.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago, I tagged a place out in the south end of town. Stop in there once in a while for some fish and chips, you know, when I can eat.
Yeah.
Well, there was a couple of guys at the bar, and we got to talking.
Mm-hmm.
One thing led to another. All of a sudden, we're buddies.
Mm-hmm.
You say this was 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Got so I drop in every night, shoot the breeze with them. A couple of times we went out together, had dinner, hit a couple of strip joints on Western, you know, moved around.
Yeah.
A week ago, one of them took me home. I got sick, and he said he'd drop me off, told me it wasn't out of his way.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped at a drugstore, and I got some pills. While we were there, he had a cup of coffee. We got talking.
Yeah.
He wanted to know if I'd go to work with him.
Doing what?
Pushing.
H?
Yeah. Said they were expecting a shipment in, good stuff, European. Said as soon as it got here, they'd want to unload it fast. Said I could make myself a couple of bills.
When's the stuff come in?
I don't know for sure. Sometime next week, the way they talk.
You said something on the phone about it being a good-sized shipment.
The word I got was 3 kilos.
Cut?
No, they're going to do that here.
You know who's shipping it?
No, I figured it'd be better if I didn't show too much interest.
Yeah.
These guys are using agates. They don't want to lose.
What can you tell us about them?
2 of them.
They the guns?
Well, I don't think so. Somebody else has got the keys. They're just along for the ride.
What about the names?
Milo Goff and Drew Franzen.
They stood before?
Yeah.
On what?
Milo's fallen for 211. Drew's had a couple of 459s and 245s.
Any big time?
Milo's seen the joint.
What about Franzen?
Yeah, Q and Folsom.
They owe any time now?
They didn't say.
What about jobs?
Nothing. They wouldn't work if it was against the law.
Who else is in with them?
Well, they're it, as far as I know. They got a lot of mules pushing grass for them now, all waiting for the heavy stuff.
Anybody know who the power is?
No, even Milo and Drew don't talk about him. Just now and then they mention the man, that's all. The man.
Anything about him?
Nothing you can find out.
They talk to him?
Not with me around.
You know where they sleep?
I'm not sure. Milo said once they had a pad over on Adams.
How'd they pick you? Why'd they open the door for you? Well, you set them up. They're pretty hinky. Why ring you in?
Well, I told you we got to talking when we met. Found out we had a couple of friends we both know.
In the business?
Yeah.
How come they didn't call one of them?
And they want no part of a needle. They don't want anybody with them that might cop. Guess they figured I was safe.
What do you want out of this, Hugo?
Huh?
Where do you draw your play? You're not dealing for free.
And this time, I don't like what they got planned.
What?
You get the whole town sliced up. You're going to set up distributorships. Get the route started and then bow out. Figured the shipment would get them going.
You said something about grass, too, didn't you?
Yeah.
There's a lot of it around town now. Did it come from the same two guys?
Most of it. They really got it made. Going to go big time. Make a killing and get out.
Where's the weed coming from?
I don't know for sure.
Same gun behind it?
The way they talk, yeah.
You can't tell us anything about it?
No.
All right. You want to give us a description of this Milo and Drew Franson?
Sure.
Everything. Where they live, what they eat, who their friends are.
It's going to take some time.
We got it.
Yeah, I figured. Okay, if we go someplace else to talk?
Sure. Where?
It don't make any difference. As long as it's out someplace. I don't want word to get back to them.
All right, let's go.
You know, there's only one way you're really going to nail these guys.
Yeah?
Join them.
You want to set it up?
You asking?
It's your idea.
Yeah, but I don't want any part of their action. I told you they play too rough for me.
Well, you know how we can set up a contact?
Who?
One of us.
Who's going to know?
Nobody else.
For real?
If you want it that way. Now, how about it?
A long way round.
Well, you said yourself it's the only way.
What happens if they find out?
We'll be there.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, what?
Will I?
We left the restaurant and drove over to MacArthur Park. Kenley gave us complete descriptions of the men he knew as Milo Goff and Drew Franzen. We made arrangements to meet with him again the following day, and then Frank and I went back to the office. We ran the names and descriptions through R&I, and we found that both men had records listing charges of robbery, burglary, and assault with a deadly weapon. A check through our file showed that neither of them had been involved in narcotics operation before. We checked their friends and the places they were known to frequent. Every place we went, we ran into the same wall. Nobody had talked to us. The following day, we met with Hugo Kenley again and outlined a plan to introduce me as a narcotic buyer from out of town. Kenley said that it'd take some time to make the arrangements, and we set up another meeting for Saturday, January 15th. Frank and I began to make plans for my going underground. I established residence at one of the better hotels in downtown Los Angeles. Through Captain Walters, I was able to obtain the money necessary to put up the front. Friday night, Frank and I met in the hotel bar to go over the final details of the operation.
Anything from Hugo yet?
No. The way we left it, he's going to call in the morning.
I don't like it, Joe.
You know, if there was another way, I'd take it.
I still think we ought to keep a tail on you.
No, the way Hugo's laid these fellows out, they'd spot it for sure. Anything goes wrong, they'd be gone before you could come in anyway.
Yeah. The skipper doesn't think it's good either.
Neither do I, Frank. If you've got an idea how we can pull it off without taking the chance, let me know, will you?
Yeah.
All right, let's go over it again.
Okay.
We lay it out that I got to see the stuff before I buy, the usual thing.
Yeah.
Once they show, I call you.
Mm-hmm. I've got the money.
That's right. You hustle over to where we make the meet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I get the chance to call before the buy, I will. Otherwise, you'll know I got hung up.
Okay. I'll be home. You got the number?
Yeah. As soon as I have any information, I'll try to get it to you. You can relay it to the skipper, all right?
How are we going to know if there's trouble?
When I phone, if I use your first name, you'll know everything's all right.
Yeah.
If I call you Smith, don't waste any time. Get there and get there as fast as you can.
Okay.
You got the ID for me?
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, here's the driver's license. A couple of hotel receipts from up north, all made out to Jerry Whitner.
Jerry Whitner.
Mm-hmm. Here's some letters, phone book.
Where'd you get the numbers?
Jules Zimmerman dug them up. Bars, hotels, a couple of places that ran a book in the Bay Area.
Looks all right.
Yeah. I hope it works.
Anybody from the office in the hotel?
Yeah. Luke's in the lobby. They took one of the rooms on your floor. A couple of men there. We've got the place covered as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're inside, we can see you. As soon as you go through the door, you're by yourself.
You continue to make it sound good, don't you?
Not leaving anything out, Joe.
Yeah.
You going to have dinner here at the hotel?
I figured to. There's no reason to leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going back to the office.
All right. See you in the morning.
I'll be here.
Okay.
As soon as I hear you left the hotel, I'll get home and wait to hear from you.
Yeah.
Try to keep us posted, huh?
Yeah, well, this isn't the first time, Frank.
Well, it looks like the roughest, though.
Comes off, it'll be worth it. 3 kilos. Pure heroin. You know what that's worth?
I don't know what they think.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to cost you.
The next morning at 8:46 a.m., I got a call from Hugo Kenley. He said he'd set it up for me to meet the two men. I was to pick him up at the corner of 7th and Broadway, and then together we'd drive to Milo Goff's. I went down to the lobby of the hotel and made arrangements to rent a car. As soon as it was delivered, I put in a call to the office and told them what had happened. After that, I left and picked up Kenley. He directed me to drive down the Harbor Freeway and then turn off onto Figueroa and on down to Imperial Highway. On the way, he said that he told Goff and Franzen that I'd gotten into town from San Francisco and was in a position to take their entire supply of heroin. From what he said, the deal looked good. We cut off Imperial and turned left to Grand Avenue. Kenley told me to turn north and drive to the corner of Grand and 113th Street. We parked the car and walked the remaining half block. The house was well kept, white stucco. In the front yard, there was a child's tricycle and a playpen. We went up onto the porch and rang the bell.
Come on in. Marlowe, this is Jerry Whitner, the fellow I told you about. Hi, Jerry. Glad to know you.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Get you anything? Drink? Cup of coffee?
No, nothing for me.
Where's Drew? Not to get something for breakfast.
This your house?
You don't even know that.
Not important.
Well, let's just keep it that way.
Okay, let's deal.
You're in a hurry, aren't you?
I don't have a lot of time.
If you want to go too fast.
If I buy, it's the way it's going to be.
Not with us.
Okay, see you later.
How about the money?
As soon as you show the H, I'll make a call. Scratch will be delivered.
You won't have it with you?
Oh, you're out of your head. You know me better than that. I'm not going to carry a pocket full of money around so somebody can walk off with it. Where do we make the meet?
You get a call.
When?
Day after tomorrow.
Nothing you can do to speed it up?
Nothing.
Okay, I'll hear from you.
Yeah.
This going to be the place?
We'll tell you that, too.
You play it pretty tight, don't you?
You want to stay in the game.
Yeah. You want to go back with me, Hugo?
Sure. No reason you have to leave, is there?
Nothing to keep me.
Okay, have it your way.
I usually do.
You talk big, Whitner.
It's the way I work, too.
You got a big mouth.
Now, look, punk, I don't like this deal. None of it. You can't deliver. You don't know for sure when the stuff is going to be ready. You talk big, but it don't fit. I've seen cheap operators like you before. Don't make any difference to me how you talk, but you better be able to come through. Anything goes wrong with this deal, and I'm going to come looking for you, fella.
You scare me.
The only reason I even talk to you is I think maybe you got something to sell. If it's what you say, I want it.
You got the money, we can make a deal.
Let's leave it there. Come on.
Yeah. We'll give you a call.
You do that. Don't make it later than you said.
Keep the money handy. We get through with this, I want to get out of town. I got a date Monday night. I want to keep it.
You will. I went back to the hotel and waited. Monday morning, I got another call from Hugo to tell me that the meet was to take place in the hotel lobby at 10:45 a.m. From there, we'd go to where the buy would be made. I got in touch with Frank and told him what had happened. He said the hotel was covered, also the house on Grand Avenue. He went on to say that other officers would be standing by for my call to bring the money. As soon as the buy was made, all of the people in the place would be placed under surveillance in the hope that either Goff or Franzen would lead us to the head man in the operation. 10:36 a.m. I went downstairs and met Hugo Kenley and Milo Goff. We talked for a few minutes while we waited for Franzen to show up. Goff told me that the buy would be made in an apartment out in the Hollywood area.
As soon as Franzen gets here, we'll shove up.
I got time to make a call.
To who?
Man with the money. Tell him to stand by.
You got to be told?
You want the money, don't you? I want to make sure he's there.
Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Go with you.
All right, come on. Got a dime?
Yeah. Here.
Thanks.
Make it snappy. Now, here comes Francis.
Just take a minute.
Where you been?
Had to see the man, get the package.
As soon as Jerry finishes here, we can move.
This the guy?
Yeah, why?
You bonehead. Dumbest trick I ever heard of.
What do you mean?
All right, mister, put your hands down by your side. Make a move and I'll blow your spine out.
What are you doing? What's wrong?
This friend of yours.
What about him?
I know him. He's a cop.
Drew Franzen told me to stand up slowly. When I did, he moved in and took my gun away from me and directed me to move out of the phone booth and across the lobby to the hotel. I did as I was told.
Keep your head front, cop. Walk a line.
You got it wrong.
No, I haven't. You're May. I ran into you a couple of years ago. You hung a pinch on a friend of mine. Name's Friday, isn't it? Joe Friday?
You're doing the talking.
I didn't have any part in it, Franzen. You got to believe that.
You make it hard.
Where are we going?
Outside. After that, we'll tell you.
You know you're not going to make it.
I don't see anything to stop us.
From here, I can see 5 guns.
You've been using bad stuff.
All right.
Keep moving.
Take him, Roxy.
Hold it right there, Franzen.
Get your hands off of me, cop.
Come on.
I'll take that gun, Franzen.
You think you're pretty smart, don't you, cop?
You figure.
Huh?
I'm not going to jail. Suspects were searched, and then they were taken to the First Street station. In Franzen's pocket, we found a check from a parking lot. Sergeant Roxy Lucarelli and his partner checked it out. And going over the car, they found the heroin. Frank came into the office, and we talked to Drew Franzen for over an hour without getting anything out of him. He was booked in at the main jail. 12:14 p.m. We had Milo Kenley brought to the interview room.
Isn't going to do you any good, you know.
Is that right?
Sure, I'm not going to tell you anything.
You don't have to. We know you plan to set up a distributing organization.
No, you ought to write this.
We sent a couple officers out to your place. They found a list of names.
I got a lot of friends.
Most of them have narco records.
I like different people.
We're going to talk to all of them.
Call first. Some of them move around.
You'll tell us nothing, huh?
What I got to say you've had.
Okay, but I want to tell you something.
I can't turn it off. Go ahead.
You know, when I first met you, I thought you were pretty smart. Looks like I was all wrong.
Yeah?
You got to be thick in the head to take a beat by yourself.
It won't be long.
You better check the Narcotic Act again with the new laws. We got enough on you to lose the key and the cell number.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it comes out in court.
You're going to be there all by yourself.
What about Francis?
He's out.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. He isn't here.
Well, where is he?
I wouldn't know.
Is this true?
Left here about 20 minutes ago.
Bail, huh? Is that how he made it? Well, it won't hurt to tell me that.
He isn't here. All we got is you.
Well, what about me?
Hmm?
Nobody put up bail for me?
I didn't see a line anywhere, did you?
You're not lying.
We don't even have to talk to you, fella. I just figured that you wouldn't want to stand all by yourself.
You sure got good friends, Goff.
Who sprung him?
I don't know.
Well, the guy had to leave a name.
Maybe. We didn't check.
It was Bert. All the odds in the world it was Bert.
Maybe. I told you I don't know.
It had to be. The only one who'd do it.
You'd know that.
Guy didn't say anything about getting me out, huh?
Not to us.
Call somebody with a book.
Hmm?
You said you wanted a statement. I'll give it.
I'll check.
Can't figure why he'd do it.
What do you mean?
Bert, he's the man, the guy who set the whole thing up. The only one who'd go bail for France and the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Sat back and didn't want any part of it. Let us do the work, make the connections, plant the pushers and mules. We did it all. He just sat back.
You got any idea where we can pick him up?
Yeah. Still doesn't make sense. Why'd you leave me here?
You keep asking the same question. I don't know.
Lousy deal. Leave me to stand for it by myself. A real chintzy.
Sure is.
Big Bert. Sitting in his house while we do the work. Taking the biggest cut. Everything's the best with him. Best house. Best car. Best clothes. All his suits tailor-made.
That's so.
Yeah. He won't put a suit on his back it isn't special made.
They'll find something that'll fit him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 14th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Milo Harold Goff, Drew Walter Franzen, and Bert Michael Lorimer were tried and convicted of violation of the State Narcotic Act, a felony, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Violation of the State Narcotic Act, a felony, is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 10 years in the state penitentiary.
You have just heard Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action, and starring Jack Webb, a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service. Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. For the past month, a hot prowl artist has been working the Silver Lake district in your city. Your job? Stop him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 12th. It was sunny in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the business office, and it was 4:31 p.m. when I got to room 45. Burglary.
Been reading about it in the papers. You know, little items here and there. Not front page stuff, but it starts me thinking.
Sure. Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi.
Mr. Bircher is my partner, Sergeant Friday.
I do.
How are you, Mr. Bircher?
Pretty good, pretty good. Except for my feet. They're killing me.
Oh?
That's just a little joke amongst us mailmen, Sergeant. Somebody asks us how we feel, we say our dogs are killing us. It ain't necessarily the truth, but it's what folks expect to hear, so we don't disappoint them.
Yes, sir. What was it you wanted to see us about, Mr. Bircher?
I was just telling your partner here, Smith, is it?
That's right, sir.
Well, I was just telling Mr. Smith my mail routes out in the Silver Lake district.
Uh-huh.
You know, where they've been having them burglaries lately.
Yes, sir.
Sure, it's a shame. Nice part of town, quiet, residential. Nice people, too. Been delivering their mail for the past 12 years.
Is that right?
Get to know folks pretty well in that length of time. Now, you take Mrs. Davenport. Lives in the 700 block on St. George Place.
Yes, sir.
Minute I gave her her mail last Friday, I could tell something was wrong. She didn't even glance at her postcards. That was the tip-off.
Yes, sir.
Told me somebody had sneaked into her house that morning. Stole $20 in cash and her diamond engagement ring. Said she left it on the sink when she started doing the breakfast dishes. Went in the other room to answer the phone. That must have been when she was robbed.
Mm-hmm.
You already heard about Mrs. Davenport being robbed, have you?
Yes, sir. We talked to her last week.
Oh, you're the fellow that come to see her about it?
That's right.
You had any luck yet?
How's that?
Catching the fellow that robbed her.
No, sir, not so far.
Well, I don't know whether this will help you out or not, but I thought I ought to tell you about it anyway.
About what, Mr. Bircher?
Well, it happened twice to my knowledge. Twice in the last 2 weeks. Once just this morning. That's why I come down here as soon as I got off work.
Mm-hmm.
It was Mrs. Perkins on South Maltman that happened to today. Said she walked down into her kitchen, and there he was, big as life.
Yes, sir.
Stranger. Complete stranger. She asked him what he was doing there. He said he was from the light company. Come to repair her electric stove.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, Mrs. Perkins don't have an electric stove.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow apologized, said he got into the wrong house by mistake. Mrs. Perkins didn't think nothing about it, and just happened to mention it when I come by with the mail. I didn't think nothing about it either, not at first.
Yes, sir.
Then I remembered same thing happened to Mrs. Johnstone over on Scott Street. 10 days ago. Found a man from the light company standing in her kitchen. She hadn't sent for him either. He said they'd given the wrong address. Now, it just don't stand to reason the light company'd be sending people to the wrong addresses all the time.
No, sir, it doesn't.
Got to thinking about them burglaries. Mrs. Davenport and the ones I read about in the papers. Wondered if there wasn't some connection.
Well, it might be. It's the way a hot prowl artist works.
Hot prowl?
Daytime burglar. Operates when the victim is apt to be in the house.
Oh.
Would you give us their addresses, Mr. Bircher?
Huh?
The two ladies you were telling us about?
You mean that found the fellow from the light company in their kitchen?
Yes.
Mrs. Perkins. She lives on South Maltman, number 201. Mrs. Waldo Perkins, that's her full name.
201. And the other lady?
Johnstone. Mrs. Nellie Johnstone. She's a widow lady. Her address is 1247 Scott Street, corner of Scott and Brandon.
I see. Thank you.
Would you mind showing us just what your mail route covers, Mr. Bircher?
Huh?
On the map over here. Would you come over here?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Here we are.
Starts here.
Mm-hmm.
Down this street like so, then over here. This whole section. These streets here, down here.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I end up.
I see.
Mm-hmm. That's the right area, all right.
Yeah.
Anything else I can do for you?
No, sir, I don't believe so. We appreciate your coming in.
Figured out I ought to help you if I could, seeing as how we both work for the same boss.
How's that?
The taxpayer.
We checked with the utility companies, and they told us that they had made no recent repair calls in the vicinity of the addresses that Mr. Bircher had given us. 5:46 p.m. Frank and I drove out to 201 South Maltman. It was a one-story stucco bungalow set behind a white picket fence.
Well, it's about time you... Where are the flowers?
Ma'am?
Aren't you from McAdams Flower Shop?
No, ma'am. We're
they
from the...
promised me they'd have them here by 5. Promised faithfully. Oh, you just can't depend on anybody. Well, what is it?
We're police officers, ma'am.
Police?
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You, Miss Perkins?
Well, yes, of course. Who do you think I was?
We'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Oh, what on earth about? Please, I'm in an awful hurry. I've got 16 people coming for dinner.
Just a couple of questions, please. It won't take us long.
Oh, all right. I suppose you might as well come in.
Thank you.
It isn't about Waldo.
Ma'am?
My husband. It isn't about him, is it? Not on top of everything else.
No, ma'am.
I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I'm just not up to a big dinner party anymore. I shouldn't have tried.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand you had a visitor this morning, Miss Perkins.
Visitor?
A man who said he'd come to fix your stove.
Oh, yes. Now, how on earth... Oh, that mailman. I ought to know better than to tell him anything. He spreads it all over town.
Yes, ma'am. You hadn't sent for an electrician, had you?
Oh, certainly not. If anything was wrong with my stove, I'd send to the gas company. It's a gas range.
Well, could you describe him for us, please?
Describe him?
That's right.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, what did he look like? Was he tall or short?
Oh, I hardly even looked at him. He's just an ordinary man.
I see. How old would you say he was?
Isn't this kind of foolish?
Well, we aren't sure yet, ma'am. Do you have any idea of his age?
Oh, youngish, I guess. About 30.
Mm-hmm. How was he dressed?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
Well, did he have on a uniform of any kind?
No uniform. Suit, I think. I didn't pay much attention.
No scars or anything like that?
Well, not that I noticed. Might have.
Well, just what did he say to you?
Well, just that he'd made a mistake, that he was in the wrong house, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any kind of an accent?
No. He sounded like a plain, everyday American to me.
I see.
Do you think you'd recognize him if you saw him again?
Oh, I don't think so. If it had been some other day when I wasn't so busy, when I didn't have so much on my mind...
Yes, ma'am. Did you notice where he went when he left here?
Out the back door.
Did he drive away?
I really haven't any idea. If you're so interested in the poor man, you better talk to Margot.
Margot?
Mrs. Summersby, my next-door neighbor. She was doing some gardening this morning.
I see.
I suppose she saw him, too. There isn't much that gets by Margot. She's a little on the nosy side, if you know what I mean.
Yes, ma'am. Which house is hers?
Up from there.
I see.
Now, I've just got to get back to my dinner. I haven't even started the salad yet.
And just one more thing, Miss Perkins.
Well, what is it now?
Is anything missing from around the house?
Missing?
Yes, ma'am. Money or anything of value?
Why, no. No, of course not.
You sure, are you?
What on earth are you driving at? A man makes a perfectly honest mistake. Next thing I know, the police are bothering me. You think he was a criminal or something.
I'm sorry we troubled you, Miss Perkins.
I just don't understand it. People come here all the time, day in and day out. Some of them have the right address, some of them have the wrong one. Spend half my life answering the doorbell.
Yes, ma'am.
What's so special about this fellow?
He didn't ring your doorbell. We left Miss Perkins and went over to talk to her next-door neighbor, Mrs. Summersby. Mrs. Summersby told us that she'd spent most of the morning in her garden transplanting begonias. She also said that she remembered seeing a stranger enter Mrs. Perkins' house about 10:30 a.m.
I don't think you noticed me. I was down on my hands and knees behind the hedge.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking it was kind of odd the way he just walked in. Then I decided it's probably somebody about the party she's giving tonight. Delivery man, somebody like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see him leave?
A couple of minutes later, he came backing out, headed out toward the front of the house.
Do you have a car?
Well, I suppose so.
You aren't sure?
No. I just assumed he did if he was a delivery man.
Mm-hmm.
Could you describe him for us, Mrs. Summersby?
Doesn't Mrs. Perkins know who he was?
Well, she isn't sure.
Well, she must know what he looked like.
Well, we'd like to check your description against hers, if it's all right.
I suppose she was a bit vague. I'm not surprised. She doesn't have a very sharp eye. She can't see her nose in front of her face.
Is that so?
And the way she's been carrying on about this dinner party, well, it's a wonder to me she even remembered the man.
Yes, ma'am.
You'd think if she could entertain 16 people, 2 more wouldn't be any extra trouble.
How's that?
All her talk about just having friends of her sister's. That's who the party's for. Her sister from Cleveland. They're out here on a visit.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse, that's what it is. To get out of inviting Rex and me. Well, she won't need excuses in the future. Our relationship will be on a somewhat different basis.
Yes, ma'am. Now, if you'll just tell us about the man you saw this morning.
Oh, him.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he was good size, tall as you are, maybe. A little heavier. Late 20s or early 30s, I'd put him.
Mm-hmm.
Dark hair, needed a haircut. Nice looking. Not real handsome or anything like that, but good looking.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how he was dressed?
Coat and pants. Don't think they matched. Not too sporty, though.
I see.
Walked real fast, brisk, like he was in a big hurry.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
No. No, I can't think of anything.
Has he been around this neighborhood before?
No, stranger to me.
Would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Don't see why not. Oh, excuse me.
Surely.
Hello? Yes? Oh. That's too bad. Uh-huh. Well, I don't know. Oh? Well, I suppose you do, but... Oh. I see. All right. Bye. Mrs. Perkins.
Is that right?
Says the Barringtons can't come. Mr. Barrington's got virus. Wants me and Rex to fill in at the last minute. Well, if you're all through, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'd better start getting ready.
We told Mrs. Summersby to get in touch with us if she saw the suspect in the neighborhood again. We also told her that we might need her assistance in making an identification from mug shots. She offered to do all she could to help us. 6:48 p.m. Frank and I canvassed the vicinity for anyone else who might have seen the suspect. We were unable to turn up another witness. 8:06 p.m. We drove over to Scott Avenue and interviewed Mrs. Nellie Johnstone. Mrs. Johnstone stated that on Monday of the previous week, a strange man had entered her kitchen. He claimed to be from the electric company. He apologized for coming to the wrong address and left immediately. Her description of the suspect tallied with what we already had. The next day, April 13th, we checked the description in the MO with the stats office. They came up with 3 possibles. We took the names to R&I and pulled their packages. 12:08 p.m., we went back to the office.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, from these mug shots, it could be any one of them.
Yeah.
We better try for an identification.
Who do you want to start with?
Doesn't matter. Miss Perkins again.
Okay. Wonder how our party went last night.
I got it. Burglary Friday. Where did it happen? Yeah, that's the neighborhood. How long ago? I see. Right, thank you. Looks like we won't need Ms. Perkins. I just brought a lady into Georgia Street who lives out in the Silver Lake district.
Yeah.
Found a man going through a purse in the bedroom, tried to stop him from getting away.
Mm-hmm.
He slugged her. We drove over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and talked to Dr. Sebastian. He told us that a Mrs. Violet Castle had been brought in for treatment. He said she had a bad bruise on her face and a slight concussion. He also said she hadn't lost consciousness and was able to talk to us.
Miss Castle?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am.
Okay.
We'd like you to tell us what happened, if you would.
I told the others when they come to get me.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to hear from you.
Well, he was just standing there by the dresser. I couldn't imagine where he come from.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say anything for a minute. I was too surprised. He didn't seem to know I was in the room. His back was towards me.
What was he doing?
Well, I couldn't tell, not at first. And then I heard a little snap. Just a click.
Mm-hmm.
I realized he was opening my purse.
Yes, ma'am.
Started fumbling at the things inside. I must have moved or something. Anyway, he looked up, saw me in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes opened up real wide like he was scared. I remember thinking he's more scared than I am.
Did he say anything?
No, sir, not a word. I did all the talking. Told him to put down the purse. Put it down, I said. Tried to sound real sure of myself.
And what happened then?
Dropped the pocketbook, turned around toward me. I don't think he had a gun or anything. If he did, I didn't see it.
Yes, ma'am.
He just started running toward the door. I moved over so as I'd been in his way. Where do you think you're going? I said.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't answer. He just pushed past me. I grabbed at his arm, and that's when he hit me. Here, where the bandage is.
I see.
Must have struck the chair when I fell. The doctor tells me I'm going to have a real bump. Guess everybody will be saying Violet Castle sure got the swell head, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't faint, though. I thought for a minute I was going to, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him run out of the house like I heard a wild horse's the way he pounded out of there. Managed to get to my feet, made it to the telephone in the hall, and called the police.
Mm-hmm.
They sent an ambulance for me. Got there real quick. First time I ever rode in an ambulance.
Is that right?
Oh, I've had my share of sickness. I've been in hospitals and all that, but I never had an ambulance ride before.
Yes,
Siren, too. Siren going all the way down here. Now, I thought I must be pretty bad off. They had to use a siren like that, but the doctor says it's usual.
Mm-hmm.
He told me I'd be up and around again in a few days, be my old self, except for my lump. It'd be a while before a lump like that goes away.
Do you think you could identify the man who hit you, Mrs. Castle?
Identify him?
Well, yes. If we showed you some pictures, could you pick him out?
Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm afraid not.
Oh?
It isn't that I wouldn't know him, you understand, him or his picture. I'm not likely to forget that face.
Well?
Too dark in here for me to look at any pictures. Way too dark. Doctor said they had to leave the blinds down for the time being. Told me not to turn the light on.
I understand.
I'm sorry I can't be more help, but the doctor left strict orders.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll check on it, Joe.
Thank you.
Always believe in following doctor's orders.
Yes, ma'am.
No use paying the doctor unless you do what he tells you. That's how my husband always used to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm not paying anything here, am I? That's what they told me.
Yes, ma'am.
I explained I wasn't a charity case. I got some health and accident insurance. I guess you'd call this an accident, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not sure. I imagine so.
Dr. Sebastian says it'll be all right. Turn the lights on for a few minutes, Joe.
Okay.
Are you sure it's all right?
Yes, ma'am, said so.
Well, he was so positive before about keeping it dark in here.
Well, a couple of minutes probably won't make any difference, Miss Castle.
Well, the doctor says so.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, sure seems bright, don't it?
Yes, ma'am. Now, if you just look through these photos.
I'll do my best. It sure is funny.
How's that?
You getting here so quick and having pictures all ready to show me.
Well, we don't know that we've got his picture here.
Well, that's what's so funny.
Ma'am.
This is him, right here.
Mrs. Castle positively identified one of the mugshots we had shown her. Ralph Foster Maple. Maple had done time for burglary. The three ladies we had previously interviewed also identified the suspect's picture. 3:16 p.m. We went back to the office. The crime lab reported that there were no fingerprints or other physical evidence at Mrs. Castle's home. Frank and I checked the phone books and city directories for Maple's address. There was no listing. We ran DMV for a car registration. They had nothing under his name, but they told us that a Mrs. Ralph F. Maple at 317 Himber Street was the registered owner of a late model Nash sedan. 4:48 p.m. We drove out to interview Mrs. Maple.
Yes?
Mrs. Maple?
Yes?
Your husband in?
My husband?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm afraid you've made a mistake.
Oh?
I'm not married. Not anymore.
Oh, I see. You were married to Ralph Maple?
Yes?
We're police officers.
Oh.
Miss Frank Smith, my name's Friday.
What's he done now?
We'd like to get in touch with him, that's all. You mind if we come in?
Give me a minute to send my daughter over to the neighbors. I'd rather she didn't hear this.
We'll have to come in.
Oh, all right. Over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Go out and play, will you, honey? What is it this time? Burglary again?
We're just trying to reach him, Miss Maple. Do you know where he lives?
No.
Is he still in Los Angeles?
I suppose so. He was here a couple of weeks ago. Came by to see Joanne. She's our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Should have known he was up to something.
Ma'am?
Brought us presents. Expensive presents. Said he had a new job. I didn't really believe him, but I tried to for Joanne's sake.
Did he say what this job was?
Selling. Didn't mention the firm. I suppose he could be a good salesman if he'd try.
Do you have a car?
Told me it was in the shop being repaired. Came up in a taxi cab.
I see.
It's a great one for taxis, Ralph is. Big tipper, too. With somebody else's money. I'm sorry. I guess I sound a little bitter, don't I?
No.
It was my own doing. I knew he was wild when I married him. I thought he'd change. He did. He got worse.
How long you been divorced?
A little over 2 years now. Oh, I waited till he got out of prison. I thought that was my duty, have a home ready for him to come back to.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't hold down a job, didn't even try. Well, we'd managed without him while he was in San Quentin. I knew we could do it again. He's supposed to support Joanne. I haven't seen a penny in 6 months. Always brings her a present, though. It's his way of trying to get on the good side.
Mm-hmm. You know any of his friends who might help us locate him?
His friends aren't my friends, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
But you won't have any trouble finding him.
Ma'am?
He'll be here tomorrow.
Oh.
It's Joanne's birthday. He'll bring her something. He'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose he does love her. In his way. Maybe he loves me, too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I love him. I was even thinking about us getting back together. If it was true about his new selling job. I guess you never learn, do you?
You're sure he'll be here tomorrow?
He won't miss Joanne's birthday. Ralph's a very thoughtful father, not the kind of man who forgets birthdays and anniversaries.
I see.
Might forget to pay his bills, but that's different.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be quite a birthday present for Joanne, won't it?
What's that?
Her father getting arrested again.
The next day, Thursday, April 14th, we staked out Mrs. Maple's house. 3:35 p.m. A taxi cab pulled up and Ralph Maple got out. He was carrying a large package.
Keep the change. Thanks, Richter.
Ralph Maple? Police officers, just stand still.
What's going on?
He's light, Jack.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, wait a minute. Can't you tell me what this is all about?
We'll let you tell us downtown.
Well, you can't arrest a man without some reason.
Where were you yesterday?
What time?
Let's start with the morning.
Got up, had breakfast, went shopping.
Where?
Department stores, had to buy a present for my daughter. This is it right here.
I take you all morning, did it?
Yeah, most of it.
All right, come on, get in the car.
Well, if you just tell me what it is you want to know.
We want to know about a lady who's in the hospital.
Lady?
Yeah, somebody slugged her yesterday.
You think it was me?
She does. Let's find out if she's right. Come on, Maple.
Okay, she's right.
All right, let's go.
I didn't mean to hit her very hard.
It was hard enough.
Just wanted to get her out of my way.
All right. Get in.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute, huh? What about this?
What about what?
My little girl's present. It's her birthday.
No.
Well, can I give it to her?
You stay where you are.
What about one of you guys? You could take it up to the door. It's not hot. You can see for yourself. The store wrapped it, see?
Yeah.
I paid for it myself.
With whose money?
Well, least you can do is see that she gets it.
Joe?
All right, go ahead.
Here you are.
Be right back.
Sure appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
She's just a little girl, 6 today. Wouldn't understand if there wasn't a present from Daddy.
Yeah.
I never missed her birthday. Even when I was in the joint, I saw to it that she got something.
Yeah.
Wife divorced me a couple of years back. I guess I can't blame her.
Yeah.
Not for divorcing me. Had it coming. She shouldn't have got sole custody, though.
Mm-hmm.
A girl needs a father. Everybody talks about how boys need their old man. The way I see it, a girl needs him more.
That's so?
Sure, you know, they're so kind of helpless.
Yeah.
It was on account of her, Joanne. That's the only reason I done it. Little girl's entitled to pretty things. I couldn't afford them, not with the kind of dough that I made.
Yeah.
I had to get the money somewhere. I never stole much, just enough to buy her a few presents. Figured if I didn't, she'd turn against me. Being divorced and all, I figured I had to do more than regular fathers.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have given Dora sole custody. It wasn't fair. She lets me come around and visit whenever I want, but it's sort of like saying Joanne doesn't belong to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Judge claimed I wasn't a fit father. How do you like that? Just because a man does a little time, everybody has it in for him afterward.
Yeah.
The idea is say I'm not a fit father.
You know something, Maple? You proved him right.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 6th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Ralph Foster Maple was tried and convicted of burglary in the first degree, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 5 years. Assault with intent to do great bodily harm is punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years in the state penitentiary.
Just heard Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action, and starring Jack Webb, a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.